So that's what they got. I guess they saw that yesterday in the race, and they saw them doing that today. So they were squishing the right side hoses to air to the drivers.
Did we talk about that after the race?
Sure.
Everyone has Denny.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any. I don't think anybody has confirmed that that's like there's nothing public that's out there about that.
That was one of the crew members told me.
Okay, that's
Pretty straight in.
take a fan. I mean, Denny's in the back. He's got a lot of friends back
Yeah,
there
no,
now.
I'm just gonna they unloaded and the car was pretty even. Looks like you've gotten it a lot better. How you feel about the race today or something?
Okay.
You voiced everything we're good.
Yeah, I need
You
to
don't have to be
apply.
gentle. Just go. You're not gonna hurt me. I've been hit in the face before.
DW and Jeff have it here on
One
race.
shot.
Yeah, on a single.
So Mike is on camera for the segment.
Okay, so we have to move over.
So Harold,
Hello?
slide
Do you hear me, DW?
You got it?
Do you hear that? Is that loud enough?
Yeah. It's perfect.
So this segment's Michael, and then break.
Still on a roll.
Told Jeff that's the highlight of the season. Daryl getting dressed for a night out.
I'm Frankie Silva, GEICO's Regional Vice President, and we're really happy to be back again this year as the title sponsor for this spectacular event. On behalf of our over 39,000 associates around the country, welcome to the GEICO 500 at Talladega Superspeedway. We've been fortunate to enjoy a great relationship with NASCAR and its fans for nearly 2 decades, as both a team sponsor for Germain Racing and supporter of the sport as a whole. We have seen the good work that NASCAR fans do off the track in their communities, and we share their excitement for this great sport. We're very proud to be a part of this special racing tradition here at Talladega. Today's race will be another day where anything is possible. So please sit back and enjoy this amazing atmosphere, and let's go race.
Thank you so much. And you check that out right there. One of the cool scenes at Talladega. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with Roger Haynes, the normal driver of that Johnny Ray's iconic big rig. Roger's currently battling cancer. Roger, we're there with you. We're thinking about you. And of course, that is for you right there. That is certainly one of the coolest scenes at Talladega. This is another cool scene as drivers climb into their car, put on their helmets. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Eric Almirola, and DW said that drivers are actually calmer and their heart rate isn't as high as the people who were watching this race. How is that possible?
I agree 100% with you. I know when I was driving and before the race started, I would always like, okay, you just got to calm down. Not like many tracks that we go to where you got to think, I'm going to drive 500 miles here. But this place here, if you started off calm, it seemed like it was a better day for you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with DW. When you're in the car, you only see what's going on like one row in front of you and one row behind you. You have no idea what's going on everywhere else. When you watch this on TV, you get to see everything that's happening, and it's way, way more nerve-wracking to watch.
How many laps do you think these guys use to kind of figure out what we have, the unknowns?
Oh, well, I think today's different. You're going to go into today and try to figure out what you have. We haven't seen all 40 cars on the track in a pack yet, so all these guys are going to be sizing each other up and figuring out what they have.
They're going to be learning all day from lap 1 all the way to the end.
And that's why you say some of the veterans who have been through these changes you think will rise to the top.
I do agree. I just think there's too much change going on, and I think that these guys will learn faster than the other ones.
We race at Talladega twice a year. This is the first one, our favorite racetrack. Time now to start engines. Let us go trackside to do just that.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome Talladega Superspeedway Chairman Grant Lynch.
On behalf of our great friends at GEICO, drivers, start your engines!
Talladega, NASCAR's version of Powerball. No other track has produced more lottery winners. It's 500 miles, door to door, nose to tail, 200-mile-per-hour freight trains, and it all comes down to the last lap. Martin Truex hit the jackpot with his first short track win in Richmond. Now he hopes to scratch a super speedway win off his ticket. Team Penske drivers Keselowski and Logano, their numbers have come up more here than anybody else in the race. But Denny Hamlin's already cashed in at the first super speedway race of 2019. And while Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch have both won here, it's been a while since they've had a winner. But you never know when your number will come up. After all, if you're in it, you can win it. Hey, this is Talladega, baby.
When we get all done with this coffee.
No, I got you.
Okay. So we're gonna start with you talking about closing rate?
Yeah.
And Jeff, you want to just pick right up?
Yeah, just look at
Pick
me
right up
right
from
now,
there.
and I'll toss to Larry.
Yeah.
I'll try to.
I'm trying not to put that part about closing so fast they don't know where to go. How does that work for you?
Yeah, they're fine.
Of course.
Because
1, 2.
I'm just gonna say, okay, now here they come. How am I gonna handle this?
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, we'll do. How much of this history stuff do you want? 10? 10?
These are the most accomplished drivers in the world. They have conquered everything there is in motorsports. But today, on this track, they need something else. Something they rarely rely on. Luck. Insane speeds, no space, steep turns.
It's gonna be big. Oh, huge wreck.
Talladega doesn't care who you are. It wants to beat you. So luck, not a bad thing to have today. This is Talladega.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the GEICO 500 at the world's fastest speedway in Talladega, Alabama. About a third of the way between Birmingham and Atlanta is this site, a former Air Force pilot training base. Bill France Jr. flush with success at Daytona, wanted to expand the footprint of superspeedway racing. He got Alabama Governor George Wallace to grant him this site. And the track that he has built here, he knew to attract fans, had to be bigger, wider, faster than Daytona. And it has exceeded everybody's dreams. Joining me, NASCAR Hall of Famers Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Gordon with a total of 10 combined wins here at Talladega. Usually we're talking about the big one, and we might later today, but the words on everybody's lips all weekend have been closing rate.
Yeah, I ran the Motor Coach 500 last night, and I talked to drivers, crew chiefs, even spotters, Mike, and they said the closing rate is so huge. You have such a great burst of speed that they're worried about they're going to run over the car in front of them.
And if that run's coming and I'm looking in my mirror, I have my spotter giving me all this information. I've got two decisions that I'm going to make. Is that closing rate such that if I block it, I'm causing the big one? But if I don't block it, I'm going to maybe go to the back. So it's going to be pretty challenging for these drivers and spotters today. Larry, what do you have there, buddy?
Well, Darrell Waltrip talked about the closing rate, and think about it. With this aero package, these drivers only had one 50-minute practice on Friday, and there's no question the closing rate was huge. So we have an aero animation with what we call air molecules that will show you why the closing rate is so great when you're talking about 2018 to 2019. Think about the air behind a car is like the wake of a boat. Look at last year on the bottom there. Not a very big wake. The car that was closing up on the lead car was in dirty air. But look at 2019. That wake is much bigger. That puts that car behind that car in clean air, and that's why the closing rate will be so great. Closing rate may be the secondary story. Big one, I think, will be the primary.
You can pull up, but can you pass? That's the question to be answered here today. The starting grid will scroll across the bottom of the screen. 2 rounds of single car qualifying. The top 12 ran for the Busch pole. Well, the Fords were favored in Daytona. They won everything but the 500. Let's find out, Jeff, if they're favored today.
Well, one of those favorites might just be this guy. Brad Keselowski, this is Jeff and the guys up in the Fox Sports booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How are you, Jeff?
Well, man, I'm doing pretty good. You know, we've never seen a package like this, that much drag, that big of a hole being punched in the air, and this much horsepower. I'm just curious, how did you prepare for this race today?
Yeah, you're right, Jeff. I don't think we've ever seen anything with this much drag and this much closing rate. So it reminds me a lot of the trucks, and I think some of the races they've had there were good to look at, try to understand. I expect the racing to be much different. We'll probably run a lot lower on the racetrack today than we've been the last few years here, and you'll probably see the inside lane have a lot more strength. So we'll see. Anything you prepare for, Talladega has a good way of throwing you something different. So we'll try to be ready for it.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us. Good luck.
All right, have a good one, Jeff. Thanks for picking me, by the way. I think we got a real fast snap on Mustang.
Now, the Toyotas did not qualify well, and Darrell, they're all going to have to go to the back. They didn't show their speed at Daytona until it came time to win the race.
Yeah, let's talk to Denny Hamlin and see if he can give us a little insight. Hey, Denny Hamlin, it's DW up here in the Fox Sports booth. Buddy, you got me?
I got you.
Denny, it looked like you guys maybe struggled a little bit here on Friday. The cars didn't look like they drove that well. You didn't qualify all that great. You're 23rd. How do you feel about the race today? Have you got things sorted out?
I certainly hope so. You know, this whole FedEx team worked hard on it to get it driving well, and we did that. And hopefully, you know, the qualifying is not indicative of how we race. It hasn't been in the past, so I would suspect, you know, everything's going to be situational. You just got to somehow make it to the checker flag.
All right, buddy. Well, you won the Daytona 500 in similar conditions, so good luck.
Yeah, for it. Thanks.
Now, each of the 3 competing manufacturers have their own agenda for these 500 miles, and our 3 pit reporters have those stories. Jamie Little.
Well, Mike, Chevrolet has not won a race since October of last year. They want to end that today, and by doing so, they must work together. Someone on Austin Dillon's team told me this morning that the way the Chevy teams have worked together this weekend, he hasn't seen that in 10 years. Executives from Chevrolet, drivers, team owners, you name it, have been together to talk strategy and stopping the other manufacturers from winning today. They have 18 cars in the field. That's more than anybody else. Their plan, keep those Chevys together, start to finish. Matt Yoakum.
Jamie, last fall, Stewart Haas Racing worked the teamwork plan to perfection. 3 months ago, the morning of the Daytona 500, the Ford drivers all met with Edsel Ford to further define the rules of engagement. Several Ford drivers told me this morning, now with the Superspeedway rules here at Talladega, all that is out the window. They know they've got friends in Ford, but more than likely they're going to have to be the Lone Ranger. Vince?
Well, there's no question there's strength in numbers, and if you have enough numbers, you can impact the strategy of the others around you. So how does that affect the Toyotas? Only 7 of them, less than half the fleet of the other 2 manufacturers. Well, the Toyota crew chiefs told me today that it will really emphasize the need to work in unison, not just on the racetrack, but coming to pit road and exiting pit road as well. They'll likely pick up some friends along the way if they do indeed execute to perfection. By the way, the 4 Gibbs cars all going to the back for unapproved adjustments affecting the airflow to the cockpit. So they'll start the race, at least the Gibbs cars, together. Larry McReynolds?
Yeah, Vince, let's take a look at our race analysis. We'll go 188 laps, 500 miles. Our stages will be 55, 55, and 78 to the checkered flag. Pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. There were 17 pit road speeding penalties last year. The fuel window, 36 to 40 laps, and the back of the field is going to get very busy back there because Vince just mentioned the Joe Gibbs drivers. They will be joined by Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., as well as Cody Ware and Reed Sorensen. And Mike, a cool story, Brendan Gaughan is back in that 62 car, but Tyler Reddick qualified it yesterday because Brendan went back to Las Vegas for his son's first Holy Communion.
Very cool. Family first, Larry. That's that 4,000-foot backstretch here at Talladega. Just one of many great facts about the world's greatest super speedway that Bill France built. It cost $6 million to build in 1969. 33-degree banking in the turns, 2 degrees more than Daytona. Bill Elliott set NASCAR's all-time qualifying record here. You can see that car in the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn. And coming soon, a $50 million infield redevelopment project. And where those tents are, that's where the fans will be, right in the middle of the Cup Series garage area. What a beautiful day. It started out sunny, but now there is quite a cloud cover. Ambient temp 76, track temp 105. As that new Forge Edge ST with 330 horsepower makes the turn onto pit road. And remember, the start-finish line is not in the middle of the tri-oval as it is in Daytona. It's way down here toward turn 1. You got a lot to think about between the middle of the tri-oval and the start-finish line.
And Mike, you got to be willing to play well with others. You're going to have to work with other teams, whether it's your manufacturer or not. And folks, let me tell you, my heart is pumping. The green flag is in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys, and please be nice to each other.
First 3 cars up both lanes with a small breakaway. Bottom's going to form quicker than the top. Clear high if you want it, clear high if you want it, clear high if you want it, clear high if you want it. All clear.
Already you can see those alliances starting to form. Those Fords in the outside lane, all those Chevys lined up on the inside lane.
Well, it was a Chevy Ford front row. Austin Dillon electing the inside, and the Fords formed up quickly up high behind Eric Almirola. Still building speed as they come to the tri-oval.
And Mike, I think that 2 car jumping out front, if I was the rest of the competition, I'd be a little worried about that, because Brad is one of the best of working one side to the other. Whichever lane has the energy, whichever lane has the momentum, that's the lane he goes in.
You know, in football, they always talk about watching tape. And I have a feeling a guy like Brad Keselowski, I bet he watched a lot of tape going back maybe even all the way to 2000 when we had a roof rail on top of these cars and this much drag or close to this much drag, to learn what he could about this race today.
And you hit the nail on the head, Jeff. There's a lot to be learned in these early stages of this race with this aero package. What's my car going to do and how am I going to handle it?
Martin Truex way up on the high side, bringing Stenhouse, Suarez, And DiBenedetto with him.
And remember, that 19 of Mark Truex Jr., he had to go to the back. He was one of those cars for an unimproved adjustment. He's made up a lot of ground, and so is his teammate there, Eric Jones, on the inside.
Darrell, what did the Gibbs teams do to their cars that caused them to have to go start in the back?
Yeah, they have a hose that's in the right side window that blows air, I think probably to the driver's feet or on the driver, and they were crimping that hose shut so that the air couldn't get in the car. So a minor thing, but NASCAR didn't like it.
Not allowed to make those adjustments after qualifying and after inspection. There are two of the Gibbs cars working their way toward the front, where one of them finished in Daytona.
36-1 in front of that 43.
Well, pretty obvious here. You got Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, a couple others that are back there in the back. I think they're playing a little bit different strategy. I think they know there might be a big one today, and they might try to play it a little bit safe to get further back. They know also they can save some fuel back there.
Well, and when you got good cars back there with you, as long as you keep the lead pack in sight, pretty close by, in touch, you're not going to lose that much. And you got somebody to help you get up there if you have to. It was always kind of nice to have 3 or 4 fast cars kind of riding at the back if you were back there by yourself.
Here comes Truex, steaming around the outside and bringing a fast train with him.
Well, he's got one of the best pushers and one of the most aggressive drafters right behind him in Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Joey Logano came up to block.
Man, see that, we call them cow flaps. They're actually a part of the hood now. Those things are flapping all over the place. I talked to a bunch of the guys. They actually increased the size of the bolts that hold those flaps because they saw them jumping around so much.
I think some of these teams are going to have a hard time keeping some body panels on these cars today, and I'm not talking about from wrecks.
Yeah, I know. The turbulence around these cars is incredible.
In the middle, Ryan Blaney trying to bring Michael McDowell along. Those front row cars have shown a lot of speed. They're Fords. There's Blaney in the 12, McDowell in the 34, and their new teammate this year, Matt Tifft, in the 36, trying to make something happen.
Just remember, Mike, that when you're up high, like we see the 22 car Joey Logano, you're running a much bigger circle. So that bottom is going to get ahead of you.
Wow, did you see right there? And this is what I think you got to worry about. You saw Joey Logano moved up to block the 19 Mark Truex Jr. They made a little bit of contact because of that closing rate, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. shot down the middle to take advantage of it.
Stenhouse with a run, gets right to the bumper of Logano.
And you see how that's shaking? That's how it feels in the car. That car, this is not a smooth ride.
Whoa! Stenhouse just slammed the door on Martin Truex.
Yes, it won't be the last time we say that.
Vince.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. qualified 6th, and when I asked his crew chief Brian Patty if he was concerned about giving up all that track position, having to go to the rear for those unapproved adjustments, he said very simply, if you can't get back to the front in 55 laps, you got bigger problems. I'm not worried at all, and we see exactly why.
But he lost his momentum here, trying to hold Truex back, and look where he's headed.
Yeah, and see, that's what I think these guys are going to be learning this first portion of this race, is how big of a run is going to come from behind, and what do I need to block? He moved up to block that 19 when he should have probably just stayed behind Joey Logano in that middle lane.
Well, just think about Truex. He was almost to the front of the outside line, almost pulled up to the front of the inside line there, and look where he is now. I mean, that outside line just doesn't seem to go anywhere when that bottom stays formed up.
And remember, you know, that closing rate is such that means you have to make very quick decisions. It's got to be either instinctive or it's got to be thought out. But when it happens that fast, there's not a lot thinking about it. You just go.
Bubba Wallace, a Daytona 500 runner-up, right behind Michael McDowell, and now back up to the top side, 2x2.
And Mike, you have to trust. You got to have a lot of trust, and that's hard for a driver to do. You got to trust the spotter. When he says clear, get down, you got to get down right then. You can't hesitate. You got to trust the guy behind you. You got to trust so many things around you to stay out of trouble.
Austin Dillon in the 3. Started from the pole. He's dropped back to 7th. First driver to win a pole for a Cup race on his birthday since Jeff Bodine at North Wilkesboro, 1986.
My goodness. I was there.
Did you get cake?
They were working on the triangle back in those days. The Bodine triangle.
We'll see a little bit of debris on the nose of the 2-car Brad Keselowski. I think it's out of the way where it's not going to affect the cooling too much, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Well, we saw yesterday, Jeff, the cars out front were the ones that picked up the trash. They got to the trash, picked it up. They had a lot of trouble with that yesterday.
Yeah, but Logano's got some too, Jamie.
I talked to Joey Logano this morning about what he needs from his spotter, TJ Majors. He said he can't talk enough. I want him talking the entire time. And I don't want him to give me suggestions. I want him to be deliberate. When he tells me something, I'm going to do it. And after that move you saw as he led this pack, he reminded TJ, I need you to be deliberate on your calls.
Well, I don't think there's a better spotter up there. You remember, he was Dale Jr.'s spotter for a long time, so he knows what he's doing.
Ryan Blaney takes the lead. Penske has won 6 of the last 9 here.
The GEICO 500 on Fox is sponsored by GEICO, official partner of NASCAR. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, perfect for race fans.
Cautions out at Talladega. A lot of damage for several cars. Bubba Wallace coming down the front straightaway past the start-finish line, bump drafting on the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Watch the right of your screen and see what happens.
You can just see, connects to the rear bumper, Ryan Blaney, and he tries to jump out to pass him, but they were still connected and made contact. Blaney actually got pretty lucky to come out of it the way he did, but unfortunately, it turned Bubba sideways.
Michael McDowell is collected, and behind them, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, and more.
You can see that hood flap. That means you're in that pocket of air that you can stay connected to that rear bumper of the car in front of you.
Yeah, he just moved to his left, and when you hit that car on the left side, it's just.
And that's also as he turned back to the right. These cars, when you turn back to the right, they load on that left rear, and it just turned him sideways to the right. You'll see a lot of that. That's why these cars aren't as stable as they used to be.
Riding with Daniel Suarez. See Wallace in the middle, pushing Blaney just ahead of the 11 of Hamlin.
Stay up there. Stay up, stay up,
Wow.
stay up. They're wrecking behind you. Keep digging. Cars
Close
are behind
call.
you. I'll wreck.
Joey Logano looking back.
I mean, from that angle, you'd almost think, well, Ryan Blaney was trying to block that run, but it looked to me like he didn't have a choice. He was just holding on to the wheel, and when Bubba jumped out, they just touched a slight bit.
Nice and easy.
Boy, somebody hooked the 14 of Clint Boyer, and that shot him right up into his teammate, Kevin Harvick.
A lot of damage to his car.
And they had such great hopes for today. We're running up in the high lane and got caught up.
Yeah.
And that looks like part of McDowell's number 34 semi-attached to Jimmy Johnson's car.
48 cars picked up a piece of debris. I think
the splitter.
Quite a bit of debris.
Whose splitter is that?
Probably McDowell's.
It's not Matt Tiff's.
Yeah.
His is intact underneath. Might have been from his teammate,
He's going to have a little more front downforce than I think he'd like.
Wow, that car is killed.
And, you know, going back to Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney, those two are best friends. I mean, these guys hang out, do things together, go on vacations together. But when you get out there on the racetrack, there's no friends. I mean, you got to go and compete with one another.
They were best friends. I don't know about it. We'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Today, anyway.
Well, Larry McReynolds, now NASCAR requires a certain amount of parts to be on these cars, and there's only so much you can replace. What are these teams' options?
Well, the biggest thing, Mike, is the clock that's fighting them. It's a 6-minute damage repair clause clock, and they have to get under the 6 minutes and get back up to minimum speed when we go back racing. But pretty much things like the rear bumper cover, it's mandatory. The deck lid's mandatory. Anything like that. In the nose itself, it's not necessarily mandatory, but there's no way you'd want to be racing here at Talladega without the nose. But what's interesting about this time of this caution, Mike, is remember my fuel window was about 36 to 40 laps. We're getting real close to the threshold of being able to pit now and make it to the end of stage 1 at 55 laps.
Okay, Larry, pit road has not yet opened during this first caution of the day. Denny Hamlin in and out with a good bit of repair to the right front of his car.
And I'm looking at what this piece, I don't think that's a splitter. I think it's actually the pan that connects to the splitter that goes underneath the radiator.
I don't know what it is, but it's stuck.
It's big and it's stuck.
Cannot get it out.
And now Matt Tifft was behind his teammate, the 34 of McDowell. Let's see what happens once again here.
Also, let's not forget the nose of that Camaro is a little bit pointed there, and we've seen where it's turned some guys sideways.
Yeah. That is Matt Tiff's car under the damage repair policy. Looks like they'll be able to send him out, get him back up to minimum speed. Then he would be able to make further repairs. Kevin Harvick, though, with some serious damage on his plaid flannel number 4. Hey, there's the Busch guy. He should be concerned. Maybe he can help affect repairs there. I'm told 2 things you never wear to Talladega are flannel and ties.
Oh.
So put him in one category and put us in the other.
Here, take this tie.
Uh-oh. Kevin Harvick's actually come to a stop.
Yeah, he got a good bit of, he hit that outside wall really hard.
And Kevin and Clint Boyer hit him really hard on the left side.
I got to believe they got to be running short on time here on this damaged vehicle policy.
Vince, pit road's open.
Eric Jones pitting from 3rd. He'll stop a little short in his pit box so he doesn't get blocked in by the 8, which will pit in front of him. Jones, gas only. Matt?
And looking at fuel only for a number of different cars in my area. In fact, the 18 of Kyle Busch, their game plan was the Larry Mack move. Jamie.
Joey Logano in the 22, fuel only, but they looked at the nose. He said the pace car spit up some debris into the nose. They looked at it, looks like it's okay.
Man, you're having a bad day when this pace car throws something into your grill.
Looking at Alex Bowman picking up 11 spots, we'll check to see did he stop in his pit stall. There's Boyer back out. The left side looked fine.
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot of damage to that car.
First caution of the day, 14 laps in Talladega. Bubba Wallace's Richard Petty Motorsports Chevy being hauled back to the garage area after triggering a pileup on lap 11 that's put us under this first caution. Speeding penalties. Exiting the pits, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch. They will all go to the back. Uncontrolled tire for Ryan Preece and Jeffrey Earnhardt. They will go to the back. Alex Bowman did miss his pit. He came in on the next lap along with other cars that didn't stop the first time around. So we cycle through to Joey Logano and Daniel Suarez to restart on the front row.
And one other note on pit road, Chase Elliott had a little damage falling off the jack.
Right line, 17 in line with you, 1's in line with the 42. Still all in line, still all line. 17 pushing you, 17 pushing you, still pushing you. Got the 2 pushing the 10 in front of you. Clear to the line now.
3 wide, headed for turn 3.
In the middle still. In the middle. In the middle. Just 1 inside. Now you got help.
Looks like Truex said that outside didn't work so hot. I'm going to drop down here in the bottom. That looks a little bit better line for me.
Well, one thing's for sure after that incident we just saw with Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney, it hasn't slowed anybody down from putting blocks together and trying to stop that momentum from behind.
Here's Brad Keselowski talking about pushing other cars.
These guys in the second lane must have been pushing pretty darn hard, huh?
Yes, sir. It seemed like the middle went away just a little bit, but once the top formed back up, they were able to get a little bit of push off the corner by covering that lane. So I don't know if there's anything to that or if just the people pushing in the middle.
And while we're talking about pushing, I mean, there's a big difference between the front bumpers of these race cars. That Ford Mustang has a very flat front bumper. The Toyota, even though it has these points out on the outer edges, the middle of it's pretty flat. But that Chevy Camaro has a distinct character line that makes the nose very pointed.
Eric Almirola back out front. Here's Vince.
Well, and one victimized by that accident was Michael McDowell. The team had been so optimistic heading into the day. What did you see, Mike?
Yeah, not a whole lot. You know, just pretty early on to be that aggressive. And, you know, unfortunately for Love's Travel Stop Ford, we were just wrong place, wrong time. I didn't really see what happened. Just saw the 43 coming up the racetrack, and that was about it. So, you know, just disappointing. We've had such good speed and such a great super speedway program, and really hopeful for today. And, you know, to be out so early on is very disappointing. But, you know, it's out of your control. It's part of super speedway racing.
Mike.
McDowell hoping to follow up on his top 5 finish in the Daytona 500.
Look like, you know, over on the right side, the outside line, look like the 42, the 1, those are Chevrolets. Look like the Chevy guys might be trying to group up on the outside and get a little shove up near the front and see if that works for them.
It was a pretty cool move that I saw Joey Logano do through the middle, 3 and 4. He was on that bottom lane, and he shot up to the middle lane. And what that did was then that forced the guys on that second lane to the third lane. But so far, that third lane seems to still have the most momentum and organization of those cars and those Chevys.
All right, Vince is caught up with Bubba Wallace.
Bubba out of the care center, checked and released. The front bumper versus the front bumper of your Chevrolet versus the rear of the Ford. Did that have any significance in the incident, or was it just too much bump?
No, it wasn't that. It was just the amount of runs that we're getting. The force of it is all I was trying to do was just do some wreck avoidance. I didn't want to wad up the 12. That's the last car I want to wad up out there, and had such a big run on him. When the 22 pulled up, he checked up a little bit, and I went to go to the bottom where I was safe. And I don't know if I crossed his bumper or whatever, but it got him wiggled down and shoved me even farther down than I wanted to go. So I went back up just to stay off the apron, and it just unloaded. So it was just unfortunate, but try not to wreck my buddy Ryan and cost our day and some others. So apologize, but we should have been wrecked a couple laps before that. The 11 had a big run on us and let me in throughout the middle, so I appreciate that. But just we were fast. I was just trying to ride and not wreck somebody and wreck myself.
Tough start, Mike.
2 cars out of the race in the early going. Now we've been talking about the front end design of these cars trying to mirror their street counterparts, and on the right, look at that Camaro come to a point right underneath the bow tie.
And I do think that's going to be a factor in this race later, because you're going to have to be very aggressive pushing in the later stages of this race. I mean, they didn't touch much, and I don't know if it would have mattered if it had a Ford front bumper or a Toyota front bumper in that situation. No, but I do think later in this race it's going to be a factor, because you're going to have to be really aggressive, and I think that's when some of these Chevy guys think they got a little bit of a disadvantage with that pointed nose.
Yeah, it was just that sliding across the rear bumper of the 12. I mean, he just barely touched him, but that's all it takes when you're running 200 miles an hour.
As proof that you can win this race from anywhere you start or restart. Kyle Busch was one of those drivers that got busted for speeding. And there's the Candyman all the way back up to 7th place since the restart.
Actually, I have a little bit of a breakaway here with these front 7 cars.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jeff, that's something that looks like this front group right here, mostly Fords led by Eric Almirola and Brad Keselowski. They're pulling a little gap between that second pack.
Back to Vince.
Another victim of that incident involving Bubba Wallace was Kevin Harvick. What did you see, Kevin, and what could you do?
You know, I really thought, I went to the back to start and thought that was going to happen several times throughout the day, and got myself back there, and it looked pretty tame, so I decided to go back to the front and drove back up there. fairly easy, and then I don't really know what happened. They all wrecked, and I slowed down, and somebody hit me in the door, and I hit the wall.
Thanks, Kevin. Mike?
That's simple. Somebody hit me in the door and hit the wall.
Not much else to say.
Well, you just saw right there, the 41 of Daniel Suarez got a big run. We talked about that closing rate. He got a big run on Kyle Busch, jumped to the outside, and got Ryan Blaney and a couple others to go with him and made up a bunch of spots.
Tell you one thing, though, those Fords are strong. Almirola is strong. Keselowski strong. Truex is hanging third. Stenhouse, Ford strong. Jones, Toyota strong.
Chevrolet qualified on the pole, Austin Dillon. But right now, Ford has 7 of the top 10 positions. Toyota, the other 3.
Yeah, and the best Chevrolet right now is Larson in 12th.
Working lap 25 at Talladega.
Right front tire. I hit a piece of debris or something and freaking blew the right front tire.
The GEICO 500 on Fox is sponsored by Ring.com. With Ring, you're always home.
27 laps complete. Eric Almirola and Brad Keselowski leading in Ford Mustangs. Here's today's Ford Performance track facts. 7 straight victories at Talladega for Ford. Joey Logano, whom you're watching, owns 3 of them. Brad Keselowski 2. Ricky Stenhouse and our race leader, Eric Almirola, the winner here last fall when he led only the final lap of this race. He's your leader right now.
Always like to talk about the sum of all the parts. We look at Eric Almirola, great driver, but that's a great team. And Keselowski, that's a great team. From the spotter to the crew chief to the driver to the car they're driving, they got everything in place.
Jimmy Johnson with a lot of right side damage. While we were away, he hit the wall up in turn 3. Here's a look at it. Piece of debris flies up there. And the result?
Blew a right front tire. I hit a piece of debris or something and freaking blew the right front tire.
Well, Mike, I know you won't believe this, but it was 17 years ago today that he got his first win at the Auto Club. 17 years ago.
And 7 championships later, and a Boston Marathon 2 weeks ago, which Johnson ran in just over 3 hours.
And all those wins that he has, 83 of them, I believe. Man, he's had it rough going on these big super speedways lately.
Yeah, last couple of years have not been kind to Mr. Johnson.
Leading that outside lane. Whoa, Joey Logano slides up the hill. Jamie?
Joey Logano in the 22 getting a little frustrated with the fellow Ford driver. This was on his radio about the 41 of Daniel Suarez.
Leave the 41 hanging. I'm all about it. Yep, 10-4. We see how he raced. It's all good, man. Lined up top. Long race. He's hugged every blue over from the beginning of this race. He just hugged Blaney. He just hugged the 21. He ain't hugged me. He's done.
Now, I got to believe, listen, you have to pick your fights. You can't get angry or upset about every time something doesn't go the way you want it to. It's too early. We've only run 30 laps. You can't get angry at somebody now. It's a long way to go.
Yeah, but what that tells me is that they had a meeting. They had a group get together with Ford, and they talked about working with one another. So when one of those Fords is behind you that you're hoping is going to work with you, even though it's not necessarily a teammate, and I did see this happen earlier where Suarez had some big runs, and he just felt like he needed to take that run to the outside lane, and he sort of hung out the 22 of Logano and a couple others.
Yeah, well, you've been racing. I've been racing a long time. There are no perfect scenarios. You lay it all out, and you got a perfect plan, but it's hard to execute when you get on the racetrack.
Absolutely.
So now Logano has his teammate, Ryan Blaney, right behind him. Matt?
Mike, think back to the Daytona 500 2 years ago. Blaney spent much of the race out front leading. Josh Williams, the spotter, told me don't expect that today. The biggest challenge is trying to control the lane. You can't do it. You can't be the leader and control the lanes like you could in the past.
We just saw there the 42 they just left the 12 car hanging out to dry.
And this is exactly what I talked about in our opening, is that if you don't block that run, this is the result. You can go all the way to the back. That's about 10 miles per hour slower that you lose when you have that big spoiler catching all that air.
And Jeff, he was just running. He was up there trying to fight for the lead, running second, and look at him now.
And woe be gone to you if you lose the draft. A single car going around here is 4 seconds a lap slower than those cars in the lead draft.
Yeah, you just cannot lose that lead draft or you are done.
Let's see what happened to Blaney.
You'll see going down the back. Here's Blaney on the outside.
Now see, he's riding along behind his teammate, and you saw Larson. He knew he had a Chevrolet of Kurt Busch behind him. He knew if he went to the inside, he was going to have somebody to go with him.
It's just amazing how quickly you think something happened to your car. You'll swear the engine laid down on you.
Well, it's like they put a parachute on that 12. And in fact, as we go 3 wide for the lead, Kyle Larson trying to put his Chevrolet out front. That's pretty much what NASCAR did for this race. They extended the rear bumper a couple of inches. The rear spoiler now 9 inches tall, plus a 1-inch gurney lip at the top of it. It's like dragging a parachute if you're by yourself.
Two teammates right there, too. 42 car to 1, and that one was fast in practice. So not surprising to see them up there, and we see Logano charging back.
I don't know if those Chevys can push, but they got plenty of speed.
2 inside, no hole, 2 inside.
Chip Ganassi Racing out front. Kyle Larson, who's had 1 mistake-free race all year, or trouble-free race, let's say, not mistake. And Kurt Busch, who for the first 5 races had Chevrolet's only top 5 finishes. He's in the number 1.
You know what I see, Mike? And it's been a while since I've seen this. You can be leading and get pushed out of the line. You can fall way back like we saw Logano. But they have enough horsepower and enough throttle response that you can get yourself back to the front. You don't just pull out and pass, but you can work yourself back to the front.
And that is the big difference with this year's engine configuration. 550 horsepower at Talladega. That's approximately 100 horsepower more of pull-up to pass power than these drivers had last year.
Well, they kind of broke up that outside lane when this inside lane started working. And I think they did a little bit of push in there to get a big run to put Amarola out front.
Here's another look.
There you go, the 19 to the rear bumper of the 2 car.
Bump,
now,
bump,
boom,
bump.
boom.
And there they go. Just that little bit of a momentum. And then look what it does.
And how well those bumpers line up.
And you know what I like about Truex? He learned his lesson. He got up on that outside. He lost a bunch of spots. He got himself back down on the bottom, and he's in 3rd place, and you ain't going to move him.
35 laps complete. Eric Almirola and Brad Keselowski out front. We've had one caution flag with 4 cars out of the race as a result. It's here and it's available today at your local Chevy dealer. The all-new Silverado. The strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. It's here and it's available today at your local Chevy dealer. The all-new Silverado. The strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. 16 laps to go in stage 1. Eric Almirola out front of Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex, David Reagan, and Kyle Busch. Now going to break, they were working on Matt Tiff's car, which is now out of the race. You saw the Sawzall trying to remove a big blade from that front bumper cover. It looks like it came off Michael McDowell, his teammate's car. There it is, going right into the front end of Tiff's car. And that has put them out of the race. Larry, what's up there?
Well, what it is, and we'll use our Ford Performance cutaway car to show you exactly what's stuck in the front of that 36 car of Matt Tiff. It came off of Michael McDowell's 34 car. It's the radiator pan. It's an extension of the front splitter underneath the car. The yellow part is the front splitter, but this is the radiator pan right here. And it is huge. It's 37 inches wide by 28 inches deep. And what that does, along with that front splitter, it creates a ton of front downforce, but it is mammoth, and that's what you saw stuck in the nose of Matt Tiff's car.
And again, we've seen the violence, the way the cars shake and the way the cars are moving. And you get some air under, and that pan is so big that it's just sucked it right out from the car in that accident.
Well, and the reason why they need to have such a big pan is with that big rear spoiler, if you want the car to be balanced out properly, you've got to create more front downforce as well as that rear downforce.
Chase Elliott working with a group of Chevrolets. Mountain Dew and Little Caesars team up today to give away a free 2-liter of any Pepsi product when you purchase any pizza using the Little Caesars app. $14 to go in stage 1. Larry talked about the fuel window, and fuel is a concern on the two-way radios. Here's Eric Jones' team.
We're getting worse on fuel mileage here, just FYI, as they get more straightened out. Like, I don't know, 2 or 3 of those guys in the lead,
can actually do this. We just need to be cognizant.
I used a little bit of extra fuel just to get this spot, but I'm milking it right now.
We can see that. You had to use it to get caught up, and then now you're doing better. So I'll keep you aware.
How about his teammate just ahead, Kyle Busch, Matt?
Due to that speeding penalty, Mike, remember, he came back down pit road to serve the penalty. He topped off. Jeff, you were spot on. Tony Hirschman III, his spotter, told me this morning, the runs will happen so fast. The information he gives Kyle, it's up to him. He cannot hesitate when he makes a move.
Now, how about the Ganassi cars? They're back in 11th and 12th, the leading Chevrolets, Kyle Larson and Kurt Busch.
Are you guys saying we're close on fuel to make it to the stage?
Yes, sir. At the wide open mileage, I don't think we'll make it. But the hard throttle, I think we stand a pretty good chance of making it. Everybody's in the same boat here.
Jamie?
And the one at Kurt Busch was telling his team at the drop of the green flag, I'm about 75% throttle. Well, with 20 to go in this stage, they told him, we need you to back off a little bit more. Don't push that 42 too much. And then they alerted him that the other Chevys are in the same boat, so to hang on to make it to the end.
And we see them now. They were up there fighting for the lead a little bit ago, and now they're soft pedaling this thing, trying to make it to the break.
Yeah, and those teams on those pit boxes, they can see live data. They can see how much full throttle they're using to calculate that fuel mileage.
Well, let's check in on the Fords. How about the Penske team, Matt?
Mike, right before he was drop kicked out of that high line, Ryan Blaney told his team, I'm not able to save any fuel at all. I am wide open at this point.
Wow. Almirola, Keselowski, 2 Fords out front. 11 to go in stage 1 at Talladega. You'll see it all as we go Fox side by side. Welcome back to the GEICO 500 on Fox. Eric Almirola, too fast entering the pits. After leading 27 laps, he's going to have to do a drive-through penalty at pit road speed, 55 miles an hour, while the rest of the field roars by at 200.
He will go a lap down.
Definitely going to go a lap down.
Now he came in right with Brad Keselowski. Almirola, the white car.
And I'm not sure how much these drivers had an opportunity to practice getting on pit road, but you can see right there, he's doing everything he can to keep from locking up those tires.
Third speeding penalty of the season for Almirola. All the Penske cars stopped, as did Almirola on that lap. Martin Truex, the leader, our most recent winner on the short track at Richmond. Here comes Ty Dillon up the outside in his Chevrolet. Second place, David Reagan. Second generation driver from Unadilla, Georgia. He's got to win here. He's got to win at Daytona. He's racing for Shriners Hospital, and he is the last of Bob Jenkins' front row racing cars. Of three of them that started, he's the last one running.
Well, that David has slayed Goliath a couple of times at the super speedways like this.
And I'm not so sure he had a teammate to help him do it.
How about Martin Truex on fuel?
Will we be able to make it leading here? I don't know. I feel like we need to drop back one. Sure how to do that. There's some gaps if you can get out and get back in.
Truex trying to drop back a bit, but he is still pushing all the air off the front of his Toyota in the bottom lane as Ty Dillon takes the lead.
Well, and with this few laps left in this stage, I'm not sure how much fuel you could really even save if you get back there and try to draft.
Ty Dillon, younger of the two brothers. His older brother started from the pole. Ty came into this race an 80-1 shot, but that didn't make him a bad pick.
Oh, I think he's a good pick.
And he won the stage, I don't know, Richmond a couple weeks ago, and he got so excited. Remember that?
Great view from our visor camera here on board Alex Bowman.
But we're talking about Truex and his situation. He's got to win. So he can do a little gambling if he wants to.
He's jumped into fifth place on the outside. Vince?
Well, and David Reagan, who's the first car on that inside line, had previously been behind Martin Truex Jr. on that inside line. They've told Reagan he's a half a lap short, and they need him to save, trying to get to the end with the 38, Matt.
Fuel is a concern for the 18 of Kyle Busch. Adam Stevens told him, you need to go into fuel conservation mode, but he's lost a lot of drafting help, punching that big hole. He's dropped all the way to the back of this entire line trying to save fuel.
And Mike, listen, so folks at home say, well, how are you going to save fuel? If you're not you back out of that throttle, you not push it all the way down, you're going to burn less fuel.
If you're in it, you can win it. This is Justin Haley. This is his very first start in the NASCAR Cup Series. And he is in the top 10 right now.
And he might be celebrating something else today because this is his birthday, 20th birthday today.
And guess who has the fastest lap of the race so far? Justin Haley.
How did you know?
How about that?
At 202 miles per hour, by the way.
That's pretty fast.
I found it.
Now, Eric Almirola, in addition to the speeding problem, a speeding issue, has what problem, Matt?
And DW, what's your famous line when it comes to racing?
Don't beat yourself.
Exactly. Eric Almirola told his team, I slid the tires entering pit road too hot. I'm just hoping I can make it to the break.
3 more laps.
Yeah, so what happens, these tires, when you come in like that and you lock one of those tires up, which he probably locked the left front tire but didn't see the right front, that'll flat spot that tire and possibly cause a vibration and a blown tire.
Well, remember we saw him trying to get on pit road and it looked like he was like the tires were trying to lock up and he was trying to keep them from it.
Hey guys, if they don't come to pit road now, they're going to go to the end of the stage because we are now coming to 2 to go and pit road will be closed. So everybody out there, they've made their bed. They have to run to the end of the stage, plus wait until they open pit road, Jamie.
Austin Dillon in the 3 is all about stage points. I just asked his crew chief, are you guys good on fuel? He gave me the thumbs up. They are good, but they also told him, be aware of the 88. They told their spotter, if he starts to stumble, put that hand up. Keep your eye on the 88 ahead of you.
All right, Larry, as a crew chief, all right, you might make it to the end of the stage, but what about when the caution comes out? Are you going to be worried about running out before you can even get on pit road?
Absolutely, Jeff. With 33 degrees of banking, you may see a lot of them down on the apron when this stage ends until they do open pit road.
All right, stage points at stake. Kyle Busch in position to get the last one of those. No, Haley in the 77 ahead of Kyle Busch for 10th. Busch back to 10th.
I love it. This is the battle of saving fuel to see who wants to win this stage.
Truex might be out.
I think they all might be. They're all running on fumes. I mean, it's really, really going to be close for these guys.
They were on pit road at lap 14 and some at lap 15.
They do have
the
that
first caution flag.
They do have that reserve. They have a slight reserve they can switch over to. I'm sure most of them are on right now.
And you've got one lap. Most of the time they set that up with about 3/4 of a lap, so they have it planned out of when that thing cuts out. You flip that switch to that second pump. You have to come back to pit road.
Kligerman and others down on the apron, apparently loss of fuel pressure. There's no gas gauge in these cars.
Nope.
But here we come, final lap, stage 1. And Ty Dillon from Welcome, North Carolina. The GEICO Chevy's going to win the stage from Alex Bowman Chevrolet. 1, 2, 3, 4 with Austin Dillon and Chase Elliott.
His second stage win of this season.
Looks like about 9 cars pitted before pit road was open. They were that close on fuel. They'd rather start tail into the longest line than run out of gas out on the racetrack. So now the pace car brings them around and pit road will be open at the end of stage 1. Ty Dillon leading 3 more Chevrolets to the green and white checkered flag to end the first of 3 stages.
Yeah, Ty, and also Austin third in that stage, so nice job.
Here's Vince.
Alex Bowman coming to pit road in the 88. He's running a little hot and also needs a tick of help with the balance, but the team elected not to do a chassis adjustment. Instead, it's going to be 4 tires, and they're going to pull a little tape off the front. Jamie?
A sigh of relief for Ty Dillon. They did all they can to win their second stage of the year. Now it's a 4-tire stop. They made it around. The others following him in, his brother in the 3, Austin Dillon, a 4-tire stop. Their goal was to get some stage points, and they did a nice job with that as well. The 12 down and away too, guys.
50th anniversary for Talladega, where in 1969, the Dillon boys' grandfather, Richard Childress, took his number 3 out onto the world's fastest speedway to run in the very first Talladega 500. Childress's first Cup race.
Yes, sir.
What do you say we dial up our stage winner there, Ty Dillon? Hey, Ty, this is Jeff up in the Fox Sports booth. You got me?
Yeah, buddy, got you again.
Man, I love talking to you after these stage wins. I know how excited you were at Bristol. And, hey, it doesn't come easy, as you know. How difficult was it? You guys were all trying to save fuel, make it to the end of that stage, and also try to win it.
Yeah, you know, with our Team Chevy partners, we're trying to work together. It's really important for our Camaros to be out front. And well, I get good information about my fuel saving, and that was really important there to know when I could go and when I couldn't. We still didn't know if we were for sure good, but Matt and the guys did a good job. But really proud of my GEICO team to win a second stage. That is massive for our team. So we're pretty pumped about that, and I love talking to you guys too.
All right, man. Well, maybe we'll talk to you some more today. All the best.
Thanks. That's the plan.
He mentioned Matt. That's Matt Borland, his crew chief. Second stage win of the season for the younger of the two Dillon brothers from Welcome, North Carolina. Ty out front.
Oh, yeah.
'19 FIFA Women's World Cup kicks off this June. All eyes will be on America's national team as the defending champs head to France, looking to win an historic fourth World Cup. All matches will be live on Fox and FS1. Here in Talladega, 59 laps complete. Here are the fastest pit stops presented by Xfinity. Chase Elliott, one of those first 4 in stage 1. Ricky Stenhouse, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, William Byron were the fast 5. Now, we mentioned 10 drivers stopped before pit road was open so they wouldn't run out of Sunoco race fuel. And here they are. They'll have to go to the end of the longest line when they form up for the restart. There was one other penalty. Martin Truex was nabbed for too many men over the wall by NASCAR's pit road officiating system. Ready for stage 2. As the drivers approach the GEICO restart zone, anywhere within that area, the control car can hit the gas and restart the race. If he does not do so by the end of that green zone, the flagman will restart. It is Chase Elliott, and he's on it.
When you heard Ty Dillon, when we talked to him on the radio, talked about the Chevrolets working together, and it's exactly what he was talking about. That's teammate Chase Elliott to Alex Bowman, moves right down in front of him so they can get connected. You got William Byron back there, the 3 of Austin Dillon, the 13 of Ty Dillon on the outside. So look for those guys to try to get those Chevys lined up along with those Fords down the inside.
Yeah, we had all Fords up front for a good part of the early going there, but the Chevys have kind of found their way to the front right now. We'll see how long that lasts.
2 lanes now. 3 wide behind you. 17's got nothing. You got 2 Chevys in your mirror. William double wide with you.
17 got in the old sucker hole.
The mid is 4 lanes back with a push.
It's such a false sense of momentum that you get. And Stenhouse, he had it. He had a big run. And when he tried to go to the outside of Alex Bowman, it just came to a halt.
Here come the Penske Fords up the inside. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano. Stenhouse is going to go with them, and so is Stenhouse teammate Ryan Newman.
Yeah, and you got Keselowski right there as well, along with the 22 car.
When you saw Chase Elliott went from that bottom lane all the way to the top lane, he knew that the line was moving up top there with William Byron, his teammate. That allowed Alex Bowman to go around the bottom lane and move right up in front of his teammate Chase Elliott to take the lead.
I think, Mike, by now you've kind of got a sense about what your car will and won't do. The suck-up rate, how much room you need. I think you're getting a little more comfortable with what you got.
Chevys on the outside, Fords on the inside. Where are the Toyotas? Kyle Busch in 10th place is the first of them. He's on the outside lane, 6 cars back. Now, during the stage-ending caution, Eric Almirola got the free pass. He was eligible for it since he'd already served his penalty from earlier. So he's back on the lead lap, and he's come from the back up to 14th.
And I know, Mike, you never want to make a mistake in the pit. You want to have clean stops and all those things. But here you get away with a little bit more because you can get back to the front so easily.
Larry Mack.
Yeah, let's do our Duracell Drive and Trust. This is Eric Almirola's 8th full-time season in the Cup Series and his 2nd at Stewart-Haas Racing. In 2018, Eric and his crew chief, Johnny Klossmeyer, won the fall playoff Talladega race, made the playoffs, and finished 5th in the final point standings. Now, Eric's spotter, Joel Edmonds, started spotting for Eric when he was at Richard Petty Motorsports in the 43 car, and at the beginning of 2018, when Eric came to Stewart-Haas, Joel made the move with him. I'd say the success that Eric, Johnny, and Joel has had together at Stewart-Haas Racing in their first 45 races in that 10 car, it's safe to say Eric Almirola is riding with some solid Duracell driving trust.
Absolutely, Larry. He won here last fall. Now, what you're looking at is from the spotter's perch, high above the tri-oval, and if those cars look tiny, it's because they're almost a mile away entering turn 3 from the spotter's point of view.
You know who else is liking this view that he has right now? That guy in the lead right now, 88, Alex. This is the first laps, I believe, he's led this year.
And, you know, I spoke to him on pit road before this race started, and I said, hey, thanks for wearing that visor camera. And he said, I hope you don't see anything in front of me.
Well,
and right now, he's getting his wish.
Well, Jeff, take us for a lap with Alex Bowman.
Yeah, so right here, you know, when you're out front now, it's a little bit different when you've got your teammate behind you, but watch the little movement of his head. Every time his head moves to the right a little bit, that's him looking in his mirror to see what's happening behind him. Is a second lane forming? Of course, right now, this is a good time to take a breath because things are pretty calm. You got two of your teammates right behind you. You got the Chevys lined up. This is the place you want to be in the calm before the storm. Just holding a nice wheel there, you know, wide open. You hear that RPM not changing a whole lot. He's not getting what we talked about, that closing rate, because he's leading this field right now.
How much does it help that he has his two teammates directly in line behind him?
Well, it makes you more comfortable. You know that they're going to not do anything that mess you up, which if it was a competitor, you never are sure. Feel pretty confident with a teammate right behind you, particularly somebody like Chase Elliott, who is a pretty conservative guy on the racetrack.
I know you guys had a lot of fun Friday night on the boulevard, but seeing these cars flying around Talladega makes me want to do one thing.
Oh, yeah. Crank it up.
So we don't have a teammate behind us, so we don't want to try and go up stall that outside line. The 19 will go underneath us, so we just stay on the bottom. Don't worry about that outside lane. Bottom. Still lined up with you, lined up with you. Half back to the 95. So one inside, one inside. Bottom two, way to be patient there. We're in good shape. Now half again. Both lanes about even. Got the 95 with you, still 3 wide, bottom of 2, bottom of 2. All clear, 5 back to 41, he's just hanging out right. Still half back, 924, bottom 2. Doing fine here, bud. Just keep being patient, stay with the group, all good.
Brad Keselowski brought the Fords of Eric Almirola, Joey Logano, and David Reagan around the outside to the lead. 68 laps complete at Talladega, and that number 10 of Almirola was the free pass car last caution. Now he's up in the top 3.
Got the whip out.
How about David Reagan?
While you enjoy the race on Fox, a great second screen experience, the Hot Pass Hangout on FS Go, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Caffeine. Join Michael Waltrip, Caitlin Vinci, and Regan Smith. Joey Logano has got to the lead, and here comes David Reagan on him. And Brad Keselowski to the inside, and Kyle Busch in the 18.
I was going to say, unfortunately, David Reagan didn't have anybody to go with him on that move, so I don't know how well that's going to work out. Luckily, he picked up Kyle Busch.
Well, I don't think that was a good idea for David. But he's got a great race car, I'll tell you that.
Reagan in the 38.
You know, when you talk about guys that are good on these super speedways, look at Joey Logano, the 22 car. He knows that run's coming. Probably TJ Majors, his spotter, told him. He's looking in his mirror. He goes down and blocks that lane that Kyle Busch had all that speed and momentum. And once you get that momentum, just ride it as long as you can. And that's why he actually has such a run on his teammate, Brad Keselowski. He just goes right on by him.
Logano will come by to lead lap 73 by about 3 feet over Reagan from Keselowski. Now, here's what Joey was talking about before he went to the lead.
We get there as good as anybody. That's one thing. You get this thing in the lead. You get a couple cars behind you that can commit, like Blaney did. Do it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you saw right there, the 10 car of Eric Almirola was right on the rear bumper of the 2 of Brad Keselowski. That opened the door for Alex Bowman to get to the inside of him and take him 3 wide.
Well, friends are where you find them. Kyle Busch is the only Toyota in the front 5, but looks like he's found a friend with David Reagan. Oh, never mind. Reagan drops down
He
with
might
Ryan
have thought
Blaney.
he was his friend, but not for long.
That's all right. He's got the best pusher he can have. Right behind him, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. going to push Kyle Busch to the lead right here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. David Reagan caught in the middle.
Better get up there behind that 20 car quick.
Well, he's going to get some help from Eric Almirola. See if they can work their way back up. And that's how quickly you go from 1st to 11th.
But you can go from 15th or 11th up to 1st pretty quick, too.
Yeah, that's what I've seen with this package. You do fall back, but you can pull back up.
How about that 3rd car on the outside, Martin Truex, Matt?
Mike, quick recovery for the 19 of Truex. Remember, he pitted early at the end of that stage before pit road was open because he was out of fuel. Then he had the issue while the car was being serviced. A crew member went to reach for a tire. His hand hit the concrete. There was the penalty. His concern now, though, fuel. He told Cole Pern under that caution, I don't know how else I could have saved more. I was doing all I could. So that could be a concern for later in the race as well.
I think that's a kind of an unknown. And Larry, we had talked about this, about the fuel mileage with this package, this engine. And what do you know about that, Larry?
Well, what I do know, Darrell, is you look right here, the window is open. We may see them start to come to pit road. You can pit now and make it to the end of this stage. So I'd start watching for some drivers possibly hitting pit road here in the next lap or 2.
Well, I tell you, somebody that I was worried was going to be hitting something other than pit road. That's Kyle Busch coming down that back straightaway. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. all over the rear bumper, trying to give him a big push to get to the lead. Watch this. There's a gap now between the 18 and Kyle Busch on that outside lane. Now here comes Ricky Stenhouse Jr. You want to push on that outer edge, but if that car moves at all, and right there, I mean, that was a big moment for Kyle Busch as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got to that rear bumper.
Kyle Busch may be the only guy that could hang on to that car under those conditions, because it was out of control, really.
What did that do for Kyle Busch? Sent him right to the lead. But he is getting 2-timed on both sides by the Fords of Blaney on the inside, Stenhouse on the outside.
And this is what we were hoping for today. We saw this in practice. They were 3 wide. Nobody was content by just riding along. Right now, they're not worried about fuel mileage or anything else. They just want to get the lead.
I just think this is what I think it took some laps in the race for everybody to figure out what they had, because this is so new, and now they know what they've got, and they become a little bit more comfortable with it and a lot more aggressive.
Well, we've had more lead changes already today than in the entire 500 miles last fall.
Well, yeah, that's because Kurt Busch led pretty much every lap except for the last one.
This is it, Mike. This is so intense, and we talked about this, Jeff and I have, and I think you too. This is mental. This is not physical. It's easy to drive these cars around this racetrack. Mentally, though, it wears you out.
Joey Logano in the 22. He was at the next table at dinner last night. I said, what do you think? He says, I think you're going to see an entertaining race. And you'll see it all as we go Fox side by side. Olive Branch, Mississippi's Ricky Stenhouse is the first of 5 Fords in front. 81 laps into the GEICO 500 at Talladega. 26 laps complete. We're almost halfway through stage 2.
I love Brian Petty, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s crew chief. He and they go together. They both are going to do everything in their power to win this race. Ricky Stenhouse, a whatever it takes driver. Patty is a whatever it takes crew chief.
When Stenhouse is also a guy, he's not content being second, third, fourth, or fifth. He wants to be leading.
A lot of action on pit road about halfway through this stage. Vince.
The 42 of Kyle Larson coming to pit road. Larson's been dealing with a little bit loose race car. It's going to be gas only, Matt.
And it's going to be fuel only for the 24 of William Byron. All the Chevrolets on pit road, topping off. Jamie?
Austin Dillon in the 3 right now. Chase Elliott, nice recovery. Little time, no tires there for the 3 or the 13. They go off pit road altogether.
We talked at the top of the day about all the manufacturers each having their own agendas, and Chevrolet has just shown their hand.
Well, and if it's a race of numbers, Mike, that was 11 Chevrolets that just came together. If they can keep those Chevrolets together, that's going to be very powerful.
I tell you, I can't imagine that you can't get the guys. They have seen the benefits in races past of working together, and I think you gotta remember that when you get into these races.
27 laps to go in stage 2. Here's a quick word from Duracell.
This is the #1 trusted brand.
Ford's out front, 4 of them before Kyle Busch's number 18 Toyota. He also has Eric Jones and Martin Truex as teammates. Only 2 Chevrolets in the top 20, rookie Justin Haley and Brendan Gaughan in the top 15. Then further back, the cars that pitted.
And Mike, remember that we don't have a restrictor plate here now. We have a tapered spacer. We don't have 400 horsepower. We have 550 horsepower. We don't have a 3-inch spoiler. We got a 9-inch spoiler. Everything about today's race is different than what we've ever had here before. That's why these crew chiefs and drivers are having to make adjustments on the fly.
So we go from the lead pack to the cars that pitted moments ago. That group of 10 or more Chevrolets that all came in stayed on the lead lap with a fuel-only stop. Larry, tire wear, not much of a concern here?
Yeah, it really isn't, Mike, but those Fords that's not pitted, they'll have to come somewhere around lap 90, which would be 20 to go in this stage if they're going to make this full fuel run. But yeah, I would say just like you saw the Chevrolets that pitted, Mike, no tires, fuel only.
And then, Mike, I think a lot of these guys thought we might see a crash fest today. Because of what we saw in practice and what the unknowns of the race today, I think a lot of guys were expecting a whole lot more caution than what we've seen so far.
And I think what you'll see them do, just like Larry McReynolds was talking about, no tires, fuel, but under those cautions, at those stage ends, if they do come on pit road under a caution, you'll see them put 4 tires on, or at least 2.
I think there's a lot of elements of this race that's like any other race we've ever had here, Mike. It's just all the factors that go around the cars and the difference in the car this time than what we've had here in the past. Strategy, fuel, positioning, I think those are all about the same.
Denny Hamlin coming in. He had damage from the crash back on lap 11. 10-car lead draft at Talladega. And counting the cars that have already stopped, 26 cars on the lead lap in position maybe to win it. The GEICO 500 on Fox is sponsored by Monster Energy, official sponsor of NASCAR. 21 laps to go in stage 2 at Talladega. Of the 10 Chevrolets that pitted, 8 are still on the lead lap, running about 15 seconds in front of the leaders. Ricky Stenhouse in the 17. There is that group. 2 of those Chevys have gone a lap down. Teammates Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece could not pick up the draft of the other Chevys coming off the pits. So they're in this pack with the leaders. That includes all the Fords and Toyotas that have not yet pitted. in stage 2.
That stat right there shows you why Ricky Stenhouse Jr. loves these big racetracks.
The highest running Toyota in that pack is 7th place, Kyle Busch. Matt.
Mike, gamesmanship and planning takes place throughout the entire run. Kyle Busch, a few moments ago, a little frustrated at this juncture.
How the hell did we have 3 teammates in a row and we couldn't charge through there? I could pick them off one by one if we all just got together, stayed in line.
Yep, 10-4, working on it.
That's my favorite thing. Yep, 10-4, working on it.
All right there. Looks like, yes, some pit stops coming from the Fords and one of the Toyotas.
The leaders come to pit road. Kyle Busch picks up the lead in this race. Vince.
The two of Brad Keselowski in, and you see gas only, also making sure that grill is clean. Just gas and go, Matt.
It's going to be fuel only for Ryan Blaney in the 12. Lackey has her full, still waiting. Finally, he's away. The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. pulls around the Gaunt Brothers 96. He topped off as well. Jamie?
Joey Logano in the 22 said he got a little bit loose. Right side tires is the call, and they'll top him up with fuel. Oh, close call with Clint Boyer.
Boyer having to back up to get into his stall, as Jamie pointed out. And also Daniel Suarez had a very near miss, about bottle cap thick there on pit road, trying to get into his pit. Vince?
The 20 of Eric Jones has been spent much of the day out toward the front group. Chassis adjustment and gas for the 20 of Eric Jones, Matt.
Those Toyotas are on pit road, fuel only for the 18 of Busch, and he's away.
Matt DiBenedetto finishes up his fuel stop. There's Stanton Barrett's 52 getting serviced. And back into the fray. So as things cycle around.
Hey, look at my
your
buddy.
new leader.
Look at him go. And Mike, he is up on the wheel too, buddy.
Rookie Ryan Preece out of the modified division, giving us good ride with that Kroger onboard camera. Here we go with Stenhouse around the outside of Kyle Busch. Eric Almirola in the mix there with Martin Truex.
Truex made a nice move there, Mike. He knew the 10 was underneath him, and he knew he had to give him some room.
Close call here on pit road. Daniel Suarez coming in.
Whoa.
Ryan Newman coming out.
And here's the other one as Joey Logano was done. And Clint Boyer didn't quite know that. Boy, he really cut Logano a break there.
What a heads-up move by Clint Boyer to avoid Joey Logano there.
Hey, you want to, hey, watch this moment?
All right. Hey, watch this. Chase Elliott, the 9.
You can see he's getting that big toe. 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. tries to squeeze and put the block on Chase Elliott, but
you know what you call that? Taking it to the limit. He took him right up there as far as he felt he could, and he had to let him go.
If he'd have taken it another inch, I can tell you that would have ended up a lot different.
All over.
Chase Elliott, whose dad holds the all-time NASCAR qualifying speed record set right here, is now out in front of the GEICO 500. 16 laps to go, stage 2. 13 laps to go in stage 2. Let's go 3 wide, sponsored by John Deere. Chase Elliott, your leader on the left, watching Joey Logano and Eric Jones fight for 10th in the middle. And your stage 1 winner, Ty Dillon, has worked his way up into 6th, part of a 7-car Chevrolet train at the front.
What's that song, Why Don't You Just Meet Me in the Middle?
Look at that huge run, that outside lane manufactured right there, led by the 10 of Eric Almirola. It looked like they were doing 5 miles per hour faster than the 8 of Daniel Hemrick there on the inside lane.
10 car's pretty steamy, my friend. Looks like it handles well. It's running fast.
And you know, to me, these guys up front here right now, those Chevrolets on the inside lane, they've seen this happen before. I think they should start moving to that outside lane and blocking those Fords that are about to come to their outside.
Well, remember what I told you a little bit ago. Jamie, go ahead.
I just wanted to add on the 9 of Chase Elliott, who's leading. I talked to Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, this morning, and he said, you know, we had these manufacturer meetings, about 4 of them this weekend. He said, I've been part of that before, where Chevrolet wants us to get together, and they'd end up being a mess. He said, I'm very confident in what we're planning here today and getting all of the teams, all 18 cars on board. So they're working their way up front. And meanwhile, the 9, by the way, guys, he overcame a pit road speeding penalty, an issue when he fell off the jack, and now he's leading this race with a good car.
Yeah, Jamie, I think what's a little discouraging, if I'm Chevy guys, is the Ford guys seem to be able to drive by them. They're all down the bottom, kind of single file working together. And here comes Almirola and Joey Logano and Keselowski, and they just seem to be able to drive up and take the lead.
Well, if they're going to come by me, they're going to have to go by me on the inside, because I'm going to block that outside lane before they ever get there.
They don't seem to be willing to move up.
Well, they've broken up a little bit here. The 10 of Almirola broke away from some of those other Fords, and now he's trailing those Chevrolets. So we'll see what he can do if he doesn't have that help.
Well, he's not going to get any help from Ty Dillon or Daniel Hemrick in the Chevys. The 13 and the 8.
No, the first.
And his other Fords, Stenhouse, the blue car, 17 there, too far back to help.
The first thing they're going to want to try to do is shuffle that 10 car right out of that line.
I know, because I tell you, that 10 car, Almirola, he is a crafty dude now, I'm telling you.
With the fast race car.
Ten laps to go in stage 2. Lap 101 complete at Talladega. Chase Elliott out front, side by side. 19 cars in the lead draft at Talladega, about the first dozen single file, and then it's still on as they jockey for position, closing in on the end of stage 2. 6 laps from now. Hendrick Motorsports out front, 1, 2, 3. Jimmy Johnson ran over a piece of debris early, cut a right front tire, hit the wall. Still running, but 10 laps down.
And Mike, one thing I haven't seen today, and I thought I would, actually, no tandem drafting.
Not yet.
I thought we would see some guys hook up and push each other, but I'm not sure the cars are handling well enough to do that.
Would you get back to me with about 3 laps to go?
If there's a caution.
I see the bumping, and that seemed to work pretty well, but I have not seen 2 cars just hook up and take off and pass everybody.
And I agree. I just don't think they're driving good enough to be able to do it.
So
but they will do it if it's for the win in a 1-lap shootout.
So here come the Fords on the outside. Ryan Blaney trying to get a little side draft to get something going as these Fords try to inhale the Camaros that lead this race. Matt.
Mike, we told you at the top of the show, the Fords trying to work together if they can, but at times you're going to have to be the Lone Ranger. Blaney has lost his Team Penske teammates. At one point, frustration set, and he said, I quote, "I can't babysit my teammates any longer." He's on the outside at the point there.
Well, and if you go back over the last about 4 or 5 years, Toyota, they were the most organized at Daytona. They won the Daytona 500, and the Ford camp said, hey, guys, let's take a look at this. They started working together. All of a sudden, they started setting the standard, and then Chevrolet took a look at it and said, guys, we've got to figure this out. And right now, they're doing it the best because they've got them all lined up right around the bottom.
But don't you think it's kind of ironic that Ryan Blaney says he can't babysit his teammates?
Yeah, he's the youngest of the 3 drivers on that team. All right, we mentioned Jimmy Johnson out of the race from the lap 11 crash. Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick, Matt Tifft, Michael McDowell, and much later in the race, still with camber damage from that accident, Denny Hamlin has also gone to the garage. Johnson 10 laps down. Clint Boyer was in that one. He is 6 laps down. Stanton Barrett, Cody Ware, Parker Kligerman also multiple laps back, but we still have 26 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, that 12 car Blaney, though, he keeps working it, man. He gets down that door, tries to get a little side draft, shoots back out. He's got Almirola behind him, pushed him a little bit. They might get up there.
You could almost hear Ty Dillon have to get out of the throttle a tiny bit right there, and that's when Ryan Blaney really lunged ahead of him. I think handling, when you're on that bottom lane like this and those cars are side drafting on the outside,
big push. 17's right on him.
It can definitely take the handling away.
Well, remember, Jeff, they just came in and got fuel. They topped up with fuel. They didn't put tires on any of them.
1 off, then 1 behind him. 1 off, then 1 behind him. 2 more.
2 laps to go in stage 2, so pit lane is officially closed. Ooh, contact there. Ricky Stenhouse just got a bump. Was that Kurt Busch on the inside?
Well, I think it was. I think Stenhouse got a little bit loose right there. Looks like some of those Fords are a little free on the outside.
I've seen that happen up to 42 of Larson. I saw him get sideways off the corner. These cars are right on the verge of being spun out.
And something also happened to Ty Dillon, and that sort of broke up a little bit of the momentum and made some of these cars have to fan out.
Almirola is 10th in the number 10. Trying to get the last stage point just ahead of Logano. There's Almirola, who has led the most laps today, 27. Don't tell Eric, but in the last 18 races at Talladega, the driver who led the most lap only won 3 times.
He didn't have to be one of them, was he?
Listen, he knows how to lead 1 lap, the most important one.
I think one thing, these guys are glad this stage is over with because they need tires.
It's not over yet.
Chase Elliott trying to become only the 4th Chevy driver to win a stage in 2019. Ty Dillon now has 2, Kyle Larson 1.
Look at this huge run coming from Blaney.
Hang on.
Kurt Busch got to the outside, got some help from his brother Kyle Busch, and that whole lane started really forming and moving forward.
Starter has the green and white checkers in hand. Stage 2 comes to an end right now. Chase Elliott coming to the flag, leading Alex Bowman and William Byron. Hendrick Chevys 1, 2, 3.
Woo, that was pretty intense.
Good job, car, Tim.
Spotter was excited.
No, that was Alan Gustafson.
Or was that Alan?
Chase Elliott gets his first stage win of the season.
The GEICO 500 on Fox is sponsored by the Ford Hall of Fans. Are you NASCAR's biggest fan? Go to Ford.com/NASCAR. By Novartis. And by GEICO, official partner of NASCAR. 2 stages complete, 77 laps to go. There's your second stage winner. Chase Elliott picking up his first stage win of the season and the 4th for Chevrolet. This fall, Fox becomes the new network home of WWE's SmackDown Live. Catch all the action every Friday night beginning October 4th, only on Fox. Were it not copyrighted, SmackDown Live would be a good title for what we're about to see in Stage 3.
I definitely think so. I mean, it just seems like their intensity at the end of these stages, and as we get closer to the end of this race, is only going to ramp up.
Let's have a look at how the Coca-Cola family of drivers are faring here at the end of Stage 2. That ends with 7 Chevrolets in the top 8. Austin Dillon currently 5th. Kyle Larson in that group. Joey Logano, Ryan Newman. Daniel Suarez on the lead lap in 24th. Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace in the garage.
Yeah, I know it. I know it's we're at a stage break now, but that's got to be so encouraging to the Hendrick Motorsports guys. I mean, to have 3 cars, 1, 2, 3, run as well as they are right now, that's pretty encouraging for those guys.
Yeah, I think for Chase Elliott, too, what's encouraging is the last time he won Stage 2, he went on to win the race at Watkins Glen.
Field working its way around turn 4 at caution speed, and the green light is on at the head end of pit road. Let's go to the Ball State University Alumnus of the Year, Vince Welch.
Wow, what a billing. Thank you, Mike. Alex Bowman coming to pit road, celebrated his 26th birthday on Thursday, hopes to celebrate his first career win a little bit later today. Really likes the car, pitting from second place, little bit tight, 4 tires and gas. Matt?
Ryan Blaney's car a little on the tight side, a slight air pressure change, concern on the 24 of William Byron, missing the left front corner hood pin, but the bigger concern about the fuel pressure, it was surging coming down the backstretch. He had to flip the switch, Jamie.
Chase Elliott in the 9, you see the damage there on the left front, but the car has been good, balance good. This team's fired up. They got their first stage win of the year.
Here's your Sunoco race off pit road. Elliott and Bowman just the way they came in. Then Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and pole sitter Austin Dillon.
Let's dial up our Stage 2 winner. Hey, Chase, this is Jeff up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, buddy, you've had to overcome a few things on pit road, but your pit crew's doing a pretty awesome job getting you out first there. And your Chevy teammates, man, you guys have been working really well together. What is it going to take to keep that number 9 car up front to get this win?
Yeah, guys have done a good job today. Just trying to be smart. I think it's going to change a little bit as the day goes along, for sure. It's not going to be quite like what we saw right there, I don't think. So we'll see what we got.
Well, all right, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, guys.
NASCAR's most popular driver grabs the Stage 2 win. 75 laps to go at the world's fastest speedway.
football, they say defense wins championships. We'll see if that holds true here today.
You got a copy of me, Daniel?
Hey, amigos. Daniel Suarez here.
Don't be afraid to tell me what you're thinking, you know, just so I can get on the same page there. Oh, for sure, man. I will let you know.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys, and please be nice to each other.
I'm here doing this promo for new Orange Manila Coke. Then who is driving my car? You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Getting ready for green flag in stage 3. There's a look at Daniel Suarez. Our favorite segment on NASCAR Race Hub on FS1 Monday through Thursday evenings is Radioactive. Today, we're Radioactive with Daniel.
In football, they say defense wins championships. We'll see if that holds true here today.
You got a copy of me, Daniel?
Hey, amigos. Daniel Suarez here.
Don't be afraid to tell me what you're thinking, you know, just so I can get on the same page there. Oh, for sure, man. I will let you know.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys, and please be nice to each other.
Stay up there. Stay up, stay up, stay up. They're wrecking behind you. Keep digging. Caution behind you. I'll wreck behind you. Go, go, go.
So we cycle through to Joey Logano and Daniel Suarez to restart on the front row.
Green flag, green flag. Bottom line is tight. 20's trying to get to you. Got no help here, no help. Two inside, two inside. Keep digging, keep digging. Green checker at the line, green checker. Engine off, engine off, engine off.
Well, let's listen to some of Daniel Suarez's day. As we get ready for stage 3, they will take the green flag with 72 laps to go. They're double file out of turn number 4. Larry Mack tells us that is right on the cusp of making this a one-stop race if things go well. Here they come to the GEICO restart zone. Nice crowd at Talladega. Sun back out. And Chase Elliott will hit the gas and put us under the green for stage 3.
Two by two. 13 strapped on you tight there. 2 outside. 1 outside top, 32.
Bottom lane, big run. They're going to leave that middle lane hanging. as 4, maybe 5 cars will break free.
Well, again, Mike, that was those Chevrolet cars. They've been watching what these other guys have been doing at these super speedways by even on the restarts finding these gaps and holes to get lined up.
Yeah, it was a great restart.
Whoa.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Kyle Busch just got moved.
Oh, my goodness.
Boy, that was another big moment by Kyle Busch. Great job driving that car, keeping it going, and really didn't even lose much.
Yeah, that car control and those quick hands of Kyle Busch is all that saved that one, because it was out of control.
Keselowski was still pushing as they came past the start-finish line. Here's a look at it.
It's if you get to that left rear of the bumper, that's one of the things that can really loosen up these race cars. And I think that's what it was. Actually, Keselowski did a pretty nice job slowing the momentum down before he got to the rear bumper of the 18. Just wanted to give him a little nudge, but boy, it's still enough to get the 18 car a little bit out of shape.
See, that's the difference in you and me. That won't no little nudge. That was a pretty big, that's a big shove right there.
Stenhouse in the blue 17 drops to the middle.
Don't you love those shots? I mean, I know that looks crazy, but that's what it feels like in the race car.
Yeah, that camera is mounted firmly. That is how stiffly sprung and suspended these cars are.
Well, it's how unfirm the rear bumper's mounted, I believe.
It might be a slight exaggeration, but it's still a pretty bumpy ride. These are race cars. They're not street cars.
What's that old line? Not built for comfort, built for speed.
Now, we saw that moment by the 18 of Kyle Busch having that moment, and he knew that those Fords were not going to be friendly to him. They shuffled him out. Look at this now. He's gone all the way to the back.
And you go back there and catch your breath. Even Kyle Busch has to do that.
Back there with Jeffrey Earnhardt, who got the free pass at the end of stage 2.
And he might
and
go
Ross
back there.
Chastain.
Might go back there and save some fuel. Might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, there's a lot. This is the stage of the race, Jeff, as you well know. A lot goes on thinking about getting to the end. And a lot of these drivers might know this is also when a lot of intensity picks up. We're running out of laps. We got 69 laps to go. Now you start positioning yourself thinking about what am I going to do when we get to the end of this race.
Let's catch up with Ty Dillon, our stage 1 winner. Jamie?
Well, the end of that last run, he was saying how loose he was. Well, when they came in and they took the tires off, the left rear had a slow leak. He was down to 3 pounds of pressure. They put new tires on, brought it back in, Mike, and did make a big wedge adjustment to help the handling.
Wow.
Well, that explains.
Did you see Kyle Busch sail on past?
Yeah,
My gosh.
Maybe he hasn't decided to save fuel in the back.
Well, he got a big push from Matt DiBenedetto. And Matt has the fastest lap of this race with his Levine Family Racing 95, and he gave Kyle a big push past those other cars.
And look right there, what does he have in common? He's got 2 other Toyotas around him. Unfortunately, he lost his Toyota teammate of Denny Hamlin, so if they can get the 20 of Eric Jones together, that's going to be 4 Toyotas that they're going to want to work with.
Yeah, that Mike Wheeler, he worked over there with the Kyle and those guys, with Denny Hamlin, so he kind of got a good relationship, and he might be willing to help Kyle get back to the front.
The problem with the front is it's all Chevrolet on the inside. Those first 6 cars on the inside lane back to the red number 3 of Austin Dillon are all Camaros.
Yeah, we saw earlier in the day when the 10, I believe it's the 10 car of Eric Almirola was leading that outside lane. He was able to drive all the way by those Chevrolets and take the lead. But right now that outside lane led by Blaney, not able to make up that much ground yet.
Oh, I think they'll get there. They're pushing and shoving.
Kyle Larson having a great run here. His green Camaro is 3rd. Vince.
Boy, and it's interesting because this is a team that if there's any bad luck to have been had, they have had it this season. And I joked with crew chief Chad Johnston before the race about wouldn't it be something, the place where most people have bad luck, maybe this is where you turn it around. He said, we'll take anything we can get. And right now they've had a really good race car. Kyle says it's a little different depending on who's running around him and where, but otherwise no changes on that last stop. They like where they're at.
Yeah,
P3.
Ben, I have seen the 42 car out of shape a couple of times, but nothing serious.
How can you not have good luck with the 4-leaf clover on your car?
Chase Elliott has led since the end of stage 2. 66 laps to go.
The GEICO 500 on Fox is sponsored by GEICO, official partner of NASCAR. 62 laps to go at Talladega. That second group keeps working its way to the front, as you see from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Win your battles, earn your name. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
Pretty interesting battle, Mike. That's all the Chevys down on the bottom, all the Fords up on the outside. The 12 car will get it. He will get almost up to the car, the 24 car, William Byron, and it seems like he stalls out there and falls back a little bit, but it's up and back, up and back.
Well, now, in past races at Talladega, we're used to seeing the lead pack of the cars right up around the wall on the outside. Jamie McMurray, you were in this race last year. How does this look different?
Well, I mean, it's almost the opposite, right? Like the guys are running right around the yellow line, and every time the outside lane gets a little bit of momentum built up, someone 5 or 6 rows back in that lane makes it 3 wide, and they lose all their momentum, and it has to start over again. The Chevys have done a great job, though, in the last stage. When those guys made their green flag pit stop, they short pitted, they came out single file, and they were able to finish in the top 3. So they're doing a good job now, but I can't wait to see what happens when we get down to the end of it, and if all those guys still listen.
Hey, Jamie, are you surprised just how committed those Chevys are on the bottom lane? Every time we see those Fords get lined up and build up momentum on the outside lane, you know, typically somebody would jump to the outside, try to block that momentum, but those guys seem to be really committed to being lined up on the bottom.
Yeah, but I think as you get closer to the end, it's going to be so hard to stay committed to the bottom lane. But it's worked for him up to this point. I've seen a couple of guys want to pull out and then pull back in line, but it's working for him right now, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens when we get down to the end.
You know, something I think may be affecting this the low line, high line, is the air ducts in the front of the car, those 2 big black holes under the headlight doors. You're putting air out of the car, and this big rear spoiler, if you're on the outside, you're getting a lot of air coming out of that car and that's down on the bottom. That's hitting the front of your car and slowing you down. That could have an effect on that outside line.
Well, that's the wisdom of 12 Talladega victories between the 3 of you. Looking at how this shakes out. So we have 5 Chevys up front, then Eric Jones' Toyota, Ryan Blaney's Ford on the outside, and Kyle Busch, well, he's not in the picture right now, Matt.
Mike, through the years, you've seen maybe a pair of drivers with different manufacturers team up in their cars, just aerodynamically work better together for some reason, but not the case for Kyle Busch. In fact, he made the observation to his spotter, Tony Hirschman III, for some reason, when the 2 car of Keselowski got to his bumper, it just really slowed him down, and Hirschman replied that he saw the same thing when Keselowski was tucked up underneath the 22 of Logano.
Some people play better with others. Some cars play
well
better with
all,
others. Yeah.
Well, somebody that wasn't playing nice shuffled the 3 car pole sitter of Austin Dillon to the back. He was lined up with all those Chevrolets up front there, and something happened where he got stuck in the middle and went all the way to the back. Jamie?
Well, Austin had some damage earlier, and they put some Barabon on the deck lid, the back end of that race car. Richard Childress, his grandfather, is watching through binoculars and said he saw something black fly out of the back of the car. They don't know if it is the Barabon, but Austin said the sensation of the car has changed. He doesn't know if it's that or if it's a tire going down, so he got out of the draft and fell to the back.
And he dropped from 6th to 25th. Coming to the stripe with 57 laps to go, Chase Elliott and his Chevrolet buddies still out front.
The GEICO 500 on Fox is sponsored by Monster Energy, official sponsor of NASCAR. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, perfect for race fans. 56 laps to go. We're under caution for debris at Talladega. Pit road will open. And so we're looking at a two-stop race to get to lap 188 and the checkered flag. 5 Chevrolets out front, then Eric Jones' Toyota, Ryan Blaney's Ford, Hemrick, Keselowski, Buescher are the top 10. 28 cars are on the lead lap, and Reed Sorensen will get the free pass and be back on the lead lap after this caution. Pit road, Vince.
The 88 of Alex Bowman coming down, and it has been a really good day today for this 88 team. No mistakes here. They've asked Alex to stop short in the box so he can have a clean entry out. And for the 42 of Kyle Larson, they haven't made a change of the car since the first stop of the day. Just 4 tires and gas again here, Matt.
An issue with the 12 car leaving. He hit his tire. They got it back. The 24 car of Byron, his service is complete, but they're going to have to pit at about lap 170 to 171, Jamie.
Chase Elliott in the 9 led 38 laps so far today. Car has been good, quiet on the radio, a 4-tire stop, and he's out.
There's your race off pit road. Eric Jones picks up 5 spots. When Fox Sports began, Gary Lang was an integral part of the look and feel of Fox Sports attitude. He tragically passed away last week, and we want to play a piece for you to show you the genius of Gary Lang. This is from Fox Sports at Talladega, 2001.
I'm a traveling man, made a lot of stops all over the world, and in every port I own a heart with at least one lovely girl. Honey! Whoa, I'm a traveling man. Yes, I'm a traveling man. Yes, I'm
Getting ready for the restart with 53 laps to go. At least one more pit stop in Talladega. Now, here's today's Credit One Bank ones to watch.
Well, Mike, it's no secret that those Hendrick Chevrolets have not gotten off to a stellar start. But here today, those Chevrolet teams are working better than any others out there. Chase Elliott finished third here a year ago. Watch him go maybe get that first Talladega win.
Yeah, Jeff, Ford has won 7 consecutive races here. I know the Chevrolet camp, they've been flexing those muscles, but when it's all said and done, Brad Keselowski will give Ford their 8th consecutive.
Oh, no. Look, he says 2. I say, 22. Joey Logano's won 3 of the last 7 races here. You're going to have to get aggressive, and you're going to have to tick some people off. My guy's good at that.
I think you're all wrong, DW. I'm going with the 12 of Ryan Blaney. He's taken quicker to drafting than most young drivers. He finished second in the 500 2 years ago. He says he just doesn't think his car is that good out front, but his crew chief, Jeremy Bullen, says, I just think you're too hard on yourself.
Eric Almirola has 2 wins at NASCAR's top level. They've both come on the sport's biggest tracks. He's led 27 laps today. He only needs to lead 1 more, just like last fall, the last lap. Or you can put all the car numbers in a bucket and just reach in and pull one out, because here we go. We'll restart with 52 laps to go and 29 cars on the lead lap. Eric Jones, Toyota, Ryan Blaney, Ford up front. Here we go.
Hey, you know, we don't want to overlook that Jones boy either, because, you know, he had a great finish at Daytona, and he's a pretty good super speedway racer in and of himself.
A little bit different strategy here. Some teams took 2 tires, some teams took no tires, some took 4.
What would have been your preference at this stage in the race, Jeff?
I like any time you come in under caution, I want 4 tires. Under green, I want no tires.
Yeah, 4 tires. You got to have 4 tires. That way you can maneuver. You can move around. You got grip. Give me 4 tires now.
Yeah, because on these restarts, we've seen just how wild and crazy it gets. I think
like
Keselowski's going 3 wide with his teammate.
Middle 3.
Oh, I'm not sure that was planned well.
I think somebody sent the message to Keselowski of what Blaney said about his teammates earlier. That is going to hurt those guys a bunch.
Look at how quickly the pack caught up to them in the middle and outside lanes. 4 wide we are. That didn't work well for DiBenedetto in the 95.
No,
he had no help.
That was a bad move by Blaney, and it really hurt he and Keselowski a lot. Blaney's able to fall back here and pick up Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That will help him maybe get back up there, but boy, Keselowski is way back.
Well, yeah, Blaney was riding along there, and for whatever reason, Keselowski had a big run and decided to try to go to the outside, make it 3 wide on his teammate. Here comes a push from Stenhouse, of course.
Here I come. That's what I said about earlier. These Fords are kind of demoralizing, because when they get a run, man, they can go by a lot of cars.
Now from that situation, here's some radio from Ryan Blaney's team.
Tell me if the 2's clear, not 5 clear. Said he never was clear. Just him there. Hey, back to your help.
That's how you handle that.
You kind of feel like there's a little Alabama slammer coming here.
There's something that just didn't feel right.
Nope.
Well, we talk about that intensity ramping up. Frustration can ramp up too.
Well, right now, drivers up in that top 3 have won 3 of the last 4 super speedway races, all but this year's Daytona 500, won by Denny Hamlin, who's in the garage.
And Mike, again, we talk about this. It's not terribly physical here, but it is terribly mentally draining. Your head starts hurting, and making those quick decisions, it's hard to do as you get near the end of the race.
Well, that's what happened right there. Yeah, 10 of Eric Almirola got shuffled out there somehow. He's stuck in the middle.
And Kyle Busch changed lanes and latched onto his teammate Eric Jones. The 20 and the 18 hookup. It's the Penske Fords against the Gibbs Toyotas. And right with him is that Roush Fenway Ford, the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse, Vince.
Well, and he came from the back, remember, started at the rear, and he's had the same issue all day long. The car's just been too loose. They haven't quite hit that sweet spot with the balance yet, but you see Stenhouse going to the outside, trying to make the run. This is a critically important race for them. They started the day outside the playoff picture. They feel like these super speedway races are their chances to win, and if they're going to make the playoffs, they got to capitalize, and they knew that coming in here today.
4 wide again.
Wide. And Mike, this is what I was saying. This is why I want 4 tires. When it gets this crazy on these restarts and you're 3 and 4 wide, you want a car that has some more grip underneath you to be able to maneuver and go from that top lane to the bottom lane.
Now that time the Fords wanted nothing to do with Kyle Busch. They locked him out, pushed him back to 10th.
But what I look, Ricky Stenhouse up here, he doesn't like his car. It's not handling very good, but he's leading the race.
Matthew Benedetto's worked his way up into that front pack. Jamie.
And he's one of those drivers in the 95 that didn't take tires on the last stop. Talked to him before he got in the car. After his run at Daytona, Mike, remember, he led a handful of laps, got his confidence up. Unfortunately, he wrecked. He said today he feels like it's the best shot at a win.
Right now, he's in a good spot, that's for sure.
Now, how about Paul Menard, who fell to the very tail of the lead draft about 30 laps ago? Here's Menard for the Wood brothers in second place, Matt.
Mike, and that's where he finished 11 years ago here at Talladega. They made a lot of adjustments to that race car. 3 significant changes. Remember, the Wood brothers, they're chasing their 100th win. Menard would love to be that guy to do it. And how many races did you say we've been here at Talladega, Mike?
This is the 100th. Well, Chris Buescher's trying to make something happen too right up here in this pack. Wow, 2x2, and neither lane seems to have an edge. Bobby Labonte, these seem like the desperate hours right here.
Yeah, it really does. And I know I was always wanting my spotter to give me a countdown to like 50, 40, 30, 20, 15, 5 to go, because when it was ramping up like this, I wanted to know how many laps are left, because when it gets 2 and 3 wide, you just want to be able to manage yourself and figure out when and where I need to make a move.
Well, and Bobby, you know, that's what I find so interesting. I don't think look at this 4 wide down this back straightaway. I'm just wondering if these guys aren't exactly sure when to go, and it just seems like right now they're taking advantage of every run they can get.
Yeah, what I'm seeing now, Bobby, and this is a tough part of the race. You're 2 and 3 wide here, and everybody's fighting for position, trying to get themselves in that spot where they feel like they got the best chance to win.
Yeah, I think I would have waited a little bit longer. I'm not sure right now was the time to do all this, but they sure are racing really hard.
Well, I think those Ford guys, they want to get lined up together. They saw what the Chevy guys did when they were lined up to get those Ford guys back in front, hold everybody off.
They've done it. The 3 Penske cars and the Wood Brothers 21, which is operated out of the Penske shops, those 4 are all together, and Ricky Stenhouse from Roush Fenway is right with them. So there's 5 Fords on the inside, much like we saw 5 Chevrolets earlier.
Yeah, I think that's what they were fighting for, Mike, was to get lined up.
45 laps to go. 42 laps to go. The fans are always fired up here in Talladega. And this weekend, Monster Energy brought out their best crews to hit the pavement and take to the skies before the race.
I mean, the fans are right below us, Mike. There's some folks down there. I don't know why they bought a seat because they haven't sat in it yet.
Well, one of the most famous names at Talladega has long been Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt got his last Cup victory here in the fall of 2000. He and Kenny Wallace drafted together to get to the front. Dale Jr., the Pied Piper around Talladega, and look at that black I-Canine car. That is Jeffrey Earnhardt. Keeping the family name proud, running in the top 15.
Yeah, he did a really nice job yesterday in the Xfinity race, running today, having a nice day.
Hey, we're in Earnhardt country. You can bet those fans would go crazy if he won this race.
I think they'll go crazy if he just gets up in there and mixes it up a little bit like he's doing now.
And what a show these fans are getting right now. This racing is really impressive to me.
There's a look at Jeffrey, who is Kerry Earnhardt's son. Dale had 3 children. Kerry, Kelly, Dale Jr. And we want to send our condolences to the Earnhardt family on the loss of Dale Jr. and Kelly's mom, Brenda Jackson, Robert G's daughter, who passed this week.
Yes.
Martin Truex trying to get, he's notched his first short track win. He's trying to get his first speedway win today, Matt.
Mike, the car a little bit on the tight side, but like you mentioned, he's got a little bit of Earnhardt history. Those 2 Xfinity titles, his first Cup Series win. Right now, he's back at the point you mentioned. It took him 81 races to score his first short track win. Today is his 57th Super Speedway race. He's never won one. If he were to do it today, he'd be the first driver ever to go first short track and first Super Speedway wins back to back. Vince?
Well, that driver right behind him in the 38 is David Reagan, who has won here both in the Xfinity and the Cup Series. There's Reagan now dropping a couple of spots back, but it has been an impressive run today. But the handle has gone away from that car a little bit, and he said it is real edgy, and that's not a good position to be in this kind of racing.
Wow, that can just got really packed in turn number 2.
Oh man, the 2 and the 20, the 2 and the 12, I think it was down through the trial over here, Mike. It was sideways. I don't know how he saved it.
And they're teammates.
But
they are.
As we see that intensity is ramping up, they're starting to get tighter and tighter, pushing more and more, and those tires are starting to get pretty hot and become a factor. Right there is the 2 car behind the 22.
22, that's what it was. Watch this. I don't know how he saved that thing.
I really have. The 2 just got him hooked on the right side of that bumper.
Woo. But I think, Jeff, they were saying what the guys were talking about, the closing rate. When you get a run, you can really make a move.
So all that happened a lap ago, and now look what happened. 22 goes to lead.
Oh, boy. You see this little space in here where there's nothing? That's the eye of the storm.
Inside, 3 mid.
She's starting to brew.
Yeah, with all this happening, I'm going to be very surprised if this thing goes green all the way to the end.
Still 3 mid. 17, 10, 19 mid lane on your tight quarter. 3 mid.
You know what this reminds me of, Mike? Da-da. Da-da.
But which one's the shark and which one is the captain?
Somebody's going to take a bite out of the back of one of these boats in a minute. I know that. Does this kind of racing, I mean, it makes me a nervous wreck.
Trepidation. It's wondering what will happen and when. You know it's going to.
I know.
If you run with a 95.
You saw the closing rate right there on the 95 to Benedetto. He had a huge run as he got to the back of the 20, and then once you get there, he just stopped.
It just seemed like, Mike and Jeff, today, it seemed like it's more through the trial and down toward turn 1. Like you can really get a huge run off of turn 4, and then it really carries a lot of speed into turn 1.
The Vice Titans with 35 laps to go and 5 Fords out front.
Everybody goes around.
Brad Keselowski got turned around entering pit road. All the Chevys came in 1 lap ago. This is all the Fords and most of the Toyotas, and somebody got in the back of the 2.
And Mike, the 2's going the wrong way, by the way. He's headed. There you go, gets turned around.
But he was in the box, so he could make the stop.
Spun it right in there.
Still under green with 33 laps to go.
We saw where David Reagan was halfway in the box of Eric Jones.
This gets real crazy here, just trying to slow down the cars. You can see them wiggling. That means they're on their brakes, trying not to lock up the tires. And
nobody hit him.
I think he just wheel hopped and got the back of the car around and put him right in the box. How amazing is that?
Oh, man. Get him a T-shirt from Joey Chitwood's Danger Angels right there.
I hope you wanted right sides.
Yeah. Only Brad Keselowski could do that.
Now David Reagan and Eric Jones says, you're in my box.
You're in my pit.
So get lost.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
you could see that David Reagan just overshot his pit stall. That was chaotic.
I'm telling you.
The new leader is Watermelon Man
The
from
Watermelon
Florida.
Man. Look at him go.
Ross Chastain. Now,
Wow.
if you think he's an unlikely pick because he's been in 25th, 26th spot most of this run in the Daytona 500, Ross Chastain and this team finished in the top 10.
And boy, at the end of last year, he thought he was in the catbird seat. Had a ride with Chip Ganassi. Thought that was going to be a real break for him. Good to see him up front today.
Now, remember when this last green flag stint and stop happened with this sequence? All those Chevrolets got lined up, Fords and Toyotas were mixed together. This is where the real action is going to be of who can get the lead and take control of this race. Right now, Joey Logano has it.
So we'll mention that Ross Chastain is the only lead lap driver who has not yet made that pit stop.
I'll tell you, I don't think I've been able to say somebody has a better car than anybody else. You know, like we just saw with the 22 car Logano. He gets in front, he looks pretty good. Then here comes Stenhouse, and then here comes Kyle Busch. It seems like you get those runs, and that's what makes the difference.
Kyle Busch seems to have the best car at changing lanes.
Ooh.
Stenhouse seems to have the best car to pull up and pass.
And to push.
Yes.
And obviously one car missing out of this group. That number 2 car, Brad Keselowski, with that incident on pit road, having to spin that car back around. He's a little bit further back.
Yeah, he's going to need some help.
And Jeff, as we said earlier, if you lose the draft and have to run around here by yourself, you're going to be about 4 seconds slower than the pack drafting along at close to 200 miles an hour. Maybe you can find some help out there.
He's almost a half a lap behind. I didn't realize he lost as much time as he did. He and the...
Yeah, they're way back.
30 laps to go in the GEICO 500. 28 laps to go. Let's look at today's race recap, sponsored by GEICO. Lap 11, Bubba Wallace gets in the back of Ryan Blaney, comes up off the apron right into Michael McDowell. That also took Kevin Harvick and Matt Tifft out of the race, along with those two, and eventually Denny Hamlin fell by the wayside, all because of damage at lap number 11. Jimmy Johnson ran over a piece of debris, cut a tire, hit the wall. He's currently 10 laps down. Ty Dillon, your stage 1 winner. Close calls on pit road. Almirola there with Suarez, and Joey Logano peels out in front of Clint Boyer. Chase Elliott won stage 2, and then Brad Keselowski locks him up coming onto pit road. He does land in the box so they can complete the service, send it back out, but he's about a second and a half behind the pack. Or rather, he's about a second and a half, a lap slower than the pack out front of him. So he's hoping for a caution flag. We still have 27 cars on the lead lap, and Ross Chastain, yeah, who is on a contrary strategy to everybody who stopped at lap 154 and 55, is your race leader.
Yeah, he's going down the back now, and the lead pack here, the Logano and all them, are just now going in turn 1, so he's got a huge lead at this point.
Now he will have to stop. He is off sequence, but continues to lead. And with that, a quick word from Duracell.
This is the #1 trusted brand.
So Ross Chastain, certainly a long shot, but if he catches a caution, things could just go his way and keep him in the mix. Like we said at the top of the day, if you're in it, you could win it. Larry?
Yeah, remember, everybody pitted at lap 133 on that last caution. So Ross Chastain, it appears that what they're going to do, they're going to go as far as they can. So I would say somewhere around 18, 20, maybe 22 laps to go, that's when he'll be on pit road. And Jeff had actually asked me a question during commercial break, and I think this is good information to share. Of all the drivers that pitted on the green, the only drivers that did 2 tires, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Paul Menard, as well as Martin Truex Jr. So out of all those drivers, 4 of them took 2 tires. Everybody else did fuel only.
That could sure come into play as we get down to the closing laps.
Well, I've seen it a couple of times at the end of some of these stages where the guys looked like they were just barely hanging on.
Well, remember, a lot of those guys took 4 tires that didn't take tires this time, took 4 tires under that caution.
Right now, Kyle Busch is our Toyota top performer in 4th. Truex, DiBenedetto, and Eric Jones and Jeffrey Earnhardt all on the lead lap.
And Mike, one thing about now at this point in the race, you know what you got. You know what your car is capable of doing. So now you're just thinking position. Where do I want to be to make a run at this thing at the end of the day? Because Jeff and I debated this. You want to be in the front? You want to be the leader? Or do you want to be second or third?
And Ross Chastain will give up the lead.
300, 10 away.
And bring his number 15 to pit road to Pat Tryson and crew. That will cycle Ricky Stenhouse back to the front spot. Ricky's last win season and a half ago at Daytona, NASCAR's other 2.5+ mile super speedway.
Yeah, there was a time about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that 17 car was the car to beat when you came to Daytona and Talladega.
Jimmy Finnegan, that crew at Roush Fenway, they, like the Wood brothers, have a habit of building really fast super speedway equipment. Daniel Suarez in 5th. Little soda machine battle here between Suarez and Chase Elliott. If Chase wins the race tonight, you can get 10 free boneless wings when you buy any 10 on Monday, or get free fried pickles if Chase finishes this race in the top 10.
Guys are, behaving pretty well right now. You've got that inside lane form, that outside lane form. Not a lot of side drafting, not a lot of bump drafting going on. They seem to be settling down right here with 22 laps to go.
I just think you're just getting your act together. you're starting to think about, okay, where do I need to be? How am I going to block if they get a run on me? How am I going to win this race? That's what you're thinking.
Well, there's an added factor here, and it's the one our pit reporters talked about just before we went green. Each of the 3 participating manufacturers, Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota, had kind of sternly worded discussions with their teams saying, if you're going to push somebody to the win, make sure he's driving the same brand you are.
Well, just that 22 car just did something that he did all by himself. He drove around the leader and drove around to 17 and took the lead.
Yeah, he had
all by himself.
He had a nice push from behind, gained a bunch of momentum, and was able to clear the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse. But as we've seen out of Stenhouse, I don't know, he must have missed the Ford meeting or something, because he seems to not want and be content with riding in second no matter who's in front of him.
Well, look at that black number 1 right in the midst of things. Kurt Busch. He is the only Chevrolet in the top 5 right now. He has another Camaro, Chase Elliott, right behind him. He's on a 1-year deal with Chip Ganassi Racing.
Daniel Suarez. Great move by Daniel Suarez to go 3 wide and get to second place.
I really think it was the best move was by the 22 of Logano. He created that situation right there.
Boy, not a good situation if you're the 19 of Mark Truex Jr. stuck in that outside lane right now.
He's got help coming. Well, he did from Matt DiBenedetto, but the 95 went back to the middle lane and pulled up behind Almirola.
And what I see Logano now doing is he is blocking. He sees which energy, which lane has the most push, which has the most energy, and that's where he tries to go.
Oh, I don't know.
Right here.
If he blocks this move, that might get him in trouble. It's going to actually cost.
Make him help you. Here he comes.
That one cost Suarez.
Suarez lifted.
And Suarez was doing everything he could to stay off Joey.
Yeah, he knew that if he pushed him through the trial, well, that's one of the most sensitive areas on this racetrack. That probably would have spun out Joey Logano.
Here comes our front row starter here, Almirola. He's up in the middle of this whole thing.
Watch this big run that's going to come from the 41 Suarez. He's being pushed by that 18 car. There it is.
And on the outside, Truex gets to the 17.
Wow,
that gives Stenhouse a boost.
Oh, man, it just stalls out.
He doesn't know what. Suarez can't make up his mind which way to go. I think I'll go. No, I think he can't make up his mind yet.
Maybe he doesn't want to be leading right now.
That's my thinking, Jeff. He's being a loyal soldier for now and working with Logano. You'll see it all side by side watching the GEICO 500 on Fox. 15 laps to go. Joey Logano out front. Matt DiBenedetto with him now. Kyle Busch, a Ford leading Toyotas side by side. Then Suarez, Almirola, and Blaney in Fords. Kurt Busch is the first Chevrolet, his number 1 in 6th place. Joey Logano talking about leading here late in the race and what you have to do.
It's important to be up front. For one, you know, you're able to, you know, control the field a little bit, bring the field where you want them to be, whether it's top or bottom, or trying to single file them out, or try to have them racing back there. You can control all that as a leader. And also, it's the safest place to be.
And here's the big one. The pack is flying apart.
When there's 15 to go and you're sitting 10th or 15th, you're thinking, man, I'm in a bad spot. They're going to crash at some point. You got to be able to get yourself towards the front really early in the race and just hold that track position.
There's Logano, his green and white Mustang on the outside against Kyle Busch, his Toyota on the inside. And
still down there, barely there. It's 12 pushing you out there. You're clear. You're clear. Watch 18 build the run on the bottom. Make that 12 help you if you have to. They're side by side still in your mirror. 2 back.
That's Logano's spotter, TJ Majors. He's got help from teammate Ryan Blaney and Stenhouse.
And I'll give Joey and TJ Majors a lot of credit because I didn't think.
Half a car length out front. He's getting a big push. 12 will probably get pushed free here. The 12 is free. The 12 is free with you.
And he's getting his money. He's earning his money today. But I just really didn't think anybody could control these lanes with the closing rate today, as well as Joey Logano has done so far today. And you got to give a lot of credit to all that information TJ Majors is giving him.
Hey, here comes Suarez up the outside. He's got to run.
Logano's won 3 of the last 7 races here. He must be pretty good.
Suarez and DiBenedetto got all the way up side by side with Paul Menard and then stalled out a bit.
Well, Suarez, remember, he was up there in the top 3 or 4, and it looked like a move was made, and he got shuffled out to the outside lane a little bit, went further back, but I think he has a fast enough race car. He can work his way back up there. Oh, we got brothers here going side by side with Kurt Busch, going to take his brother Kyle 3 wide.
Well, they're trading that. Kyle did that to Kurt a while ago, so it's a payback.
And Kurt now has help from the number 9 and 88 Chevrolets of Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman.
And unfortunately, you saw there the 10 of Eric Almirola had no help as he went to was stuck in that outside lane.
And he drifts back towards Suarez. So Larry Mack, 12 laps to go.
Well, Mike, in the 8 races since the Daytona 500, we have only had 18 cautions in the final stage. But you know what? This is Talladega. And in the last 10 spring Talladega races, the average of the last caution lap, 181, 7 laps to go. And in 7 times it's happened in the final 10 laps. 14 total overtime finishes at Talladega all time.
Did you see the hands on Ryan Blaney trying to keep that car in a straight line as Mark Truex Jr. was giving him a push?
But Blaney, it took him forever to get the thing under control. I never saw anybody not wreck with that car out of control.
Well,
like
the spotters saw that Truex had a run off turn number 2, so they moved both Logano and Blaney up to the outside to block. It worked well for Logano. For Blaney, not so much.
But to me, that when we talk about cautions coming inside 7 to go, that's what it's going to come from. Somebody blocking that big run, and there's just going to be too much contact to the rear bumper.
Watch this.
Boom.
The 19 gives a big shot. Right here, big shot, big shot. Right here, the 12 car gets so out of shape. I don't know how he saved that car. Look at it, it's still wiggling. And I know at home that may look, oh, that was minor. Trust me, that was major.
Oh, I was looking through the windshield from that other angle, and you could see his hands. He has white gloves on, and they were going full lock left and right.
Ryan Blaney got moved back to 11th, but here he comes, and who he's up against? The 19. He's now up against Martin's bumper.
Yeah,
let's see how this works out.
They just keep repaying the favors.
You just watch it. You look through the windshield of these cars when we got a shot at him. You see those gloves moving around. That guy is busy in there, buddy.
9 to go.
This is what you get paid for. You come to Talladega, these last 10 laps, this is where you earn your money.
Yeah, you know how much those first 178 laps pay?
Yeah.
Nothing.
And that guy sitting in second, he's already been off to a great start this season with some wins. Hasn't really done well on super speedways, especially here at Talladega, but he does have one win all the way back in 2008.
Well, you got two guys right there, the 22 and the 18. They got wins. The guy in third, he is desperate. He knows this is an opportunity. He doesn't want to let it get away. Kurt Busch, same thing. He's had a great car.
Yeah, he finished second here, I think, a year ago in this race.
Our pole sitter Austin Dillon's back up into the top 10. The front 5, 2 Fords, 1 Toyota, 2 Chevrolets.
I think they're just right now. You're setting everything up. You're getting everything in position. Kyle Busch, he knows what he wants to do.
Well, the manufacturer that is best aligned right now is Chevy. They have 3 cars in line. The 1, the 9, and the 88 positions 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit more than that. But as you saw right there, the 18 of Kyle Busch, if he's able to get to the rear bumper of the 22 of Logano and push him like that, that means he's going to be able to get side by side with him at some point.
And look at him. This is Joey Logano. Watch him. He's looking
he's not
in
even
that
looking
mirror.
at the
He's
front
not looking
windshield.
forward at all. He's looking behind him.
7 to go.
That right there, you know what I call that? That's sitting on a hot stove and peeing ice water, baby. I'm telling you.
Car in the wall, Chris Buescher. And he gets tagged by Di Benedetto. Truex is in it. And so is the 77 of rookie Justin Haley.
Right on cue.
19 of Truex getting caught up in this.
Larry, that trend was nobody's friend.
7 to go.
Got a fire on the 95 to Benedetto.
Having a great day, just running so well all day long.
Good to see him climb out. Chris Buescher took a hard hit. And there's Haley. His rookie run spoiled. That's a tough way to end it with 7 laps to go. Oh, good to see Chris Buescher climb out.
A lot of damage to these cars.
I'm sorry, that's one of the safety workers there talking to him. He has put the window net down, and that is a signal to the safety crew that he is okay. Boy, that was a bell ringer for Buescher.
Really
Boy,
was.
it sure was. He got turned around in a hurry.
And here's Chris climbing out. The Prosper, Texas driver is okay. But that car took a vicious hit. And Martin Truex, cattywampus, coming to pit road.
Yep.
After getting wrapped up in that one. So coming off turn number 2, Buescher is 3rd on the outside.
Yeah, and keep an eye on, I believe the 10 car of Amarola gets a nice run behind Chris Buescher. He almost tries to make it 3 wide right there. Buescher comes down. Little bit of contact right there and just turns the 37 around.
Boy, and Benedetto had nowhere to go, and Truex had nowhere to go.
So happy to see that 37 car stay on the ground when the 95 hit him. Yeah, big hit by Haley in the 77.
Wow.
Here's another look, and we'll watch Almirola in the 10 and Chris Buescher in this 37.
So Amarola thought about going 3 wide. That door was shut. And not able to see the contact. But I know, I mean, the way that car turned so abruptly, you know the contact was there. And then, wow, look at this.
Unbelievable.
Saw Corey LaJoie just thread the needle and get through there. Wow, it's a hard hit. You're with Daniel Suarez.
2 rows here, everybody's working middle and the bottom. Coming to you. Got a crash up top there.
Boy, what an impact that is. I mean, think about that. What, 3,400 pounds of metal flying up in the air like it's a little toy.
200 mile an hour.
Martin Truex trying to avoid it and almost got through. And then Justin Haley nowhere to go.
Nope.
See Suarez just squeaking through there.
A lot of carbon fiber on the back straightaway after that. Those hoods, deck lids.
All the drivers have exited their cars under their own power. And the cars have been stopped with 6 laps to go. 4 cars involved in this one. It looks like only Truex may be able to continue. And these were all lead lap cars. They all had a shot to win it.
Oh yeah,
6 laps from now.
Sure, they'd both been right up in the thick of things, and Haley was having a great run earlier today, and ends up like this. And I thought it was interesting that we asked Larry what the trends were, and what did Larry say?
7 to go.
7 to go.
And the crash happened with 7 to go.
On the money. Well, I know somebody that is happy that that caution came when it did, and that's Brad Keselowski and Eric Jones.
Yeah, they'll be able to catch up.
You saw Todd Gordon, Joey Logano's crew chief. He is the race leader as we're halted with 6 to go from Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse. So now Keselowski, who was more than half a lap behind the lead pack, looks like he'll be one of the 24, make it 25, as David Reagan should be the free pass car, 25 lead lap cars when we resume. So let's check in with Shannon, Jamie, and Bobby.
Thank you so much, Mike. Now, I think DW did say that he expected a caution on lap 7, so we were waiting for that, and it was here. Yeah. And, of course, we have it. So, question, was that the big one? What do you guys think?
I don't think it's yet.
Oh, I don't think so. I think you're going to see people try to tandem now and push. And we've seen all day long that has resulted in cars getting loose, and they're going to be more aggressive at the end of this than they have been all day long.
Yeah, getting up to speed, they're going to be pushing, and manufacturers are out the window. Everything's all gone. Now we're just going to push.
Okay, so that's my question. We've seen the manufacturers work so well together so far today. Kyle Busch is the only Toyota in the top 20. What does that mean to you?
Kyle Busch doesn't care what manufacturer's behind him. And at this point in the race, I think that deal is off. You have to help whoever's in front of you, and you're going to help whoever you think is going to benefit you the most at the end of this.
Even though we've already said that the manufacturer sat down and said, do not push another manufacturer to the win.
You can't line up now, though. It's whoever's in front of you or whoever's behind you.
They've worked together up until this point, but now at 6 laps to go or 4 or 5 laps to go at the end, that's what it's going to be.
Joey Logano has really done an excellent job controlling the lanes so far today or towards the end of this race. Can he continue that?
I think so. I think Joey is obviously one of the best restrictor plate or plate racers out there, super speedway racers out there today. He can manhandle that car. He can keep cars behind him. He does such a phenomenal job. His car doesn't look like it drives very good, but he keeps everybody back there very fast.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Joey Logano, it's not just him. I look at his spotter, TJ Majors. Those guys communicating back and forth, Joey moving the car, TJ telling him what run is coming. They've done a really good job today. It's been a lot of fun to see him defend runs that we said they wouldn't be able to defend earlier today, so it's been really cool.
He has been all over the place. Let's talk a second about Kurt Busch, right? Yep. We know that he's been up in the mix. I know earlier today you guys were just giving him so much credit about what a great super speedway racer he is. What are you going to see out of the one?
Well, I think Kurt, like we talked about a while ago, he is very good super speedway racer. He's been able to win at these racetracks. He knows how to get it done. And I look at him as he's in a position right now. He's just been kind of quiet. He sits there right now. He's been on the inside. You don't really hear much out of him, but I think he's definitely going to be there at the end.
Yeah, the inside lane is a safe lane right now, it looks like. Kurt Busch, though, I think he's only won 1 plate race, but he is one of the best plate racers of our era.
There's a lot of aggressive drivers up there in the top 5, top 10 right now, Mike, and you know all bets are off as we come to these closing laps.
That's right, Shannon. Kurt has a bunch of runner-up finishes at Daytona and Talladega helping teammates to victory, but he's on his own right now. Here's the plan. They're going to fire the cars up, bring them around, open pit road for a quickie yellow, which means all cars, lead lap and lap down cars, can pit at the same time. Martin Truex's crew will get back to work as soon as the yellow comes out and the cars move from the backstretch. And as they come off pit road and go past the flag stand, they'll be given 1 to go and will go racing. So, Jeff, you said you wanted tires on every caution. How about this one?
Well, if you're Brad Keselowski, if you're Eric Jones, some of those guys that really don't have much to lose that are further back, they'll come in and get tires. But those guys up front, yeah, now my crew chief hat is put on, and I need track position, and I'm not willing to come in and get tires.
So, Mike, who are the most aggressive drivers you know?
Oh, the front three.
That's right.
Logano, Kyle Busch, and Stenhouse.
And even Kurt Busch. I mean, there are 4 guys up there that'll do about anything it takes to win this race.
So, Larry, what's your position on whether you get tires or not? How many cars from the leader on back stay out?
Well, and what we need to preference is the fact that fresh tires maybe don't make you run faster. They just let the driver maneuver the car. They're going to drive a little bit better. When I look right now, Mike, that we have roughly 24 drivers still on the lead lap, I'm looking somewhere around Almirola, Larson, Blaney, 10th, 11th, 12th, maybe even William Byron, 13th. Somewhere right in there, I think, is the cutoff that if I'm back in that area or on back for sure to Jeff and Darrell's point, I'm coming to get me 4 fresh tires.
Yeah. All right. So Larry says 13. Where's the cutoff line for who stays out, Jeff? Darrell?
I think you got to get on it closer to 47. I think up 8th place maybe.
Oh, really? That
maybe,
high up?
Well, I think from there on back maybe. But I just tell you, the only thing that I think that tires would do for you is we've seen what incredible runs, the closing rate. If you had 4 tires and a ton of grip, you might be able to use that closing rate to your advantage. Find a hole and shoot to the lead.
Yeah, I'm going to say outside the top 10, maybe 11th on back.
I'm thinking from Menard on back, 6th on back.
Really?
Because there are a bunch of drivers up there that their shot to make the playoffs is to win.
Yeah, but
this is the place.
If I'm in 6th, though, I'm thinking 4 of them are probably going to wreck before we ever get back around.
Yeah, I think you look at Priest. He's running 8th in the 47 car, which is a great run for him. He wants to try to stay right there if he could. If he could finish 8th, I think he'd think he had a great day. And I think you come in the pits, it's a crapshoot. Maybe I come in, I get 4 tires, we have trouble in the pit. Maybe I come in and get 4 tires, and we start 15th. So I think you got to stay out.
And if you come, you don't know if others behind you are coming. It's not a guarantee. They might not.
Well, I'm thinking of October 2000 when Dale Earnhardt, with help from Kenny Wallace, came all the way to the front and won this thing.
See, my buddy, he's agreeing with me. He says, thank you, DW. I said, hey, stay out. So I think he will.
Ryan Preece.
Good job. And thank you, Tad, and all you guys over there at your team for the stickers this weekend. Appreciate it.
They didn't bring enough for you here today, but they promised you some. Now, when you get a bump in the draft, what does it feel like? Watch Joey Logano.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
What a great angle.
What kind of thrill ride is this?
Here's what I loved about that is Joey, I don't know, if there's a switch or something that he was going to hit on the dash, but he looked up in his mirror and he saw the car coming, and what did he do? Put both hands on the wheel and held it straight. But then once he got hit, you're just holding on tight after that point.
I never forget what AJ told me. I said, AJ, they're always shaking their fist at him. He said, knock the hell out of them. He said, they won't take their fist at you then.
All right, repairs underway on Truex's car as we're back under yellow. Now Saturday, great doubleheader for you on FS1. A historic rivalry. The Cards battle the Cubs. And then Chris Davis leads the A's against the Pirates. It all starts 4 Eastern on FS1 and on the Fox Sports app.
You know, we got to start wearing those heart monitors up here.
All right, the pits will open. All drivers are eligible to pit. And when they come to the line, it'll be 1 to go. We'll see how many stay out and see if any of us called this right. Not that it matters.
Yeah, right.
I'm going with Larry. He seems to be on top of it a lot more than us.
There's your top 5. You saw Ryan Preece, the rookie there, is 8th.
And what I'm looking at with those top 5, you got 2nd of Kyle Busch. You got 4th, with his brother Kurt Busch behind him.
All right,
Logano's got Stenhouse.
Excuse me, who picked Almirola because he's the 10th place car and he's in?
Yeah. I said 10th on back.
I said 8th on back.
Yes, you did. No. Jeff gets the win.
Whew.
Well, we'll see who gets the win.
Yeah.
And they're putting right sides on Almirola's car.
If I'm going to come down and get tires, I'm going to get me 4. I'm not going to just get 2.
Ty Dillon getting tires. 4 of them. He heard you.
Yeah, no, if you're going to pit and you're going to get tired, you might as well get 4.
Yeah, I don't know 2 is going to do you much good.
Now there will be 25 cars on the lead lap, so these cars will be starting about row 8 on back. Let's go to the care center and Vince.
And Chris Buescher has been checked and released. What happened?
Yeah, we just got turned. I mean, we had a good driving car. We put ourselves in a good position there with just a handful of laps to go, and our Tide Pods Camaro was pretty good. It just turned right. I mean, we got hit hard enough. It just turned it right in the outside fence. So destroyed a race car, destroyed several race cars. Just so typical of these racetracks. So it gets frustrating every time you come to these places and end up something like this throughout the race, and it's just not very much fun.
Glad you're okay. Mike.
Thanks, Vince. 13 cars stayed on the racetrack and did not pit. The first car to stop in the running order would be Ryan Newman. So from Newman, Almirola on down, there is the cut line. 13 stayed out. So Newman, Almirola, Dylan, Suarez. Can you win it from there with tires?
I don't know. You're just going to have so few laps to go. I just don't know if you can or not.
Kyle Busch will restart on the front row.
We get green, white checkers. All these guys we're racing are in worse fuel situation than us. Us doing rights there, we put more fuel on under green than they did. We've also got about 20 laps newer rights than everybody in the top 10 except for the 21.
Wow, that's a big advantage.
Could be.
Here we go.
Will come green with 4 laps to go. Logano and Busch. Stenhouse and Busch. Elliott and Bowman, Menard and Dillon, Preece and Larson, the top 10.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be all about who gives the best push and which line is the most organized. Right now, better push coming from the 17 to Stenhouse.
Whoa, buddy.
Oh, Kyle Busch is going to get hung out.
Yeah, Kurt drove down underneath him and left him hung out. I'm thinking that's probably good news for Joey Logano.
4 wide off turn 2.
Boy, look at
That's Eric
Keselowski
Jones
with that
and
big
3.
run. Pushing the 20 of Eric Jones to the rear bumper of the 3 of Austin Dillon.
Kurt Busch not messing around.
How did Kurt Busch get to the inside of Ricky Stenhouse?
He just nosed him out of the way, moved Stenhouse up.
Chevy's lined up on the bottom behind Logano, who goes up, and Kurt with him.
Buddy.
Opened up the door for Chase Elliott on the inside.
That it did.
Chase has got his teammate Alex Bowman pushing, going to take the lead here.
I think this could really pay off for these guys. We know what they can do. We've seen them do it earlier today.
3 to go. Chase Elliott out front.
Pretty optimistic we're going to make it to the white flag, but we may. Three to go.
Logano on the outside, Kurt Busch behind him, then Almirola. Chevy's on the bottom.
Well, they are slicing and dicing. I know that. Back in there. Whoa, whoa. I see a lot of.
Whoa, we got the 20 of Eric Jones going around.
Down on the apron, out of harm's way. No caution.
No, he kept it straight, kept it going.
But that's one less car to battle for the win.
Well, you got the 9 lead, and you got his teammate running second, and look who's running third. Preece in that 47 car.
How
That's
about
pretty
that?
Impressive.
2 rookies, really.
And
nose to
Hemrick.
tail, yeah, with Hemrick.
Right there.
4 Chevys in front. Logano trying to make something happen on the outside in that green car.
Got to get down there and do a little side drafting. I don't think he's got enough to get up there.
Oh, now see Stenhouse jumping out there. That's going to slow the momentum of that lane that Logano's leading.
But can Stenhouse come up and Logano move up with him and put 2 Fords try to get to the front?
That's absolutely the best thing that Chase Elliott could have asked for right there. I think it's going to take a whole nother lap to get that outside lane organized.
They can't do it. I just don't see it happening. That 9 car is in the driver's seat.
Oh, Stenhouse.
No.
Stenhouse pounds the wall, but they took the white flag, sponsored by Credit One Bank, under green. Stenhouse.
No caution. Is it?
Trying to get away. Yet. Here they come. Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Ryan Preece. Logano on the outside.
Oh,
and Byron's around. He crashes. Caution is out.
Heavy impacted inside wall by the 42 of Larson.
Man.
Kyle Larson, Jeffrey Earnhardt with heavy damage, and William Byron.
Man.
On the last lap.
Well, that was really scary looking. That 42's floating through the air as he made it impacted that inside wall.
Well, these three Chevy drivers did as ordered, worked together, and with the checkered flag, Chase Elliott has brought the Elliott name back to victory lane at Talladega.
Great job.
Chevy, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Great effort, guys. Thank you so much. Great execution. That's what we needed. Needed this one bad.
Kyle Larson is out, and
that's good to see.
His difficult season continues. Fourth career win for Chase Elliott. All coming in his last 25 races. And he's the 6th driver to win in 2019 and the first Chevrolet to go to victory lane this year. What a hard tumble for Kyle Larson.
Unbelievable. Oh, man. And that was after a really hard hit with that front nose to the inside wall.
It just won't stop.
David Reagan, who had a great race going, climbing into the support vehicle after getting out. And there is William Byron with heavy damage on his Camaro. So at the moment of caution, Chase Elliott by a car length over teammate Alex Bowman and rookie Ryan Preece and rookie Daniel Hemrick. Chevrolet front 4 with Joey Logano 5th for Ford and Kyle Busch 9th for Toyota.
Going down there a little bit further in the 62 car, Brendan Gaughan finished 10th.
Great run for the part-time driver, part-time Cup driver.
LaJoy, 11th.
Corey LaJoy. Jeffrey Earnhardt sliding to the inside barrier. A pretty hard hit there. Well, as we learned at the top of the day, Chevrolet met with all their team, owners and crew chiefs yesterday and said work together. Message delivered?
Message delivered. Well laid out plan, and I bet you see them do that a lot more the rest of the year on these big super speedways.
Today's victory by Chase Elliott was fueled by Sunoco. Sunoco is fueling victories all season long.
Alan Gustafson, crew chief, got a big smile on his face. He knows how hard these races are to win. There's a smoke show. And I know this is Earnhardt country, but today it might just be Elliott country.
That boy knew how to do the today, I'm telling you. He led a lot of laps on the race.
Well, we're a little over 100 miles west of Atlanta. So this is both Earnhardt and Elliott country. His dad was a fan favorite and a winner here, and now so is Chase Elliott. Here's Jamie Little.
Chase Elliott, you heard it on the radio, how important this win was for this team, for Chevrolet, for Chase Elliott. Chevrolet waited since last October, their last win, and they did it in thrilling fashion. I'll wait for Chase to pull that helmet off. Chase, the fans haven't sat down for a long time. What do you have to say to them?
Just thank you. What a day. Just a huge thanks to all of our partners, my team, Hendrick Motorsports, Chevrolet. Obviously, a lot of teamwork done today. So big thanks to Mountain Dew, Little Caesars, Napa, all our partners that make this happen. But you guys up there, you're really what makes it happen. Thank you.
Chase, I talked to you and your crew chief this morning, and you talked about the Chevrolet meeting, and Alan Gustafson said something was different this time. We are going to make it work. How important was that today?
It was huge. We just had a plan and executed it really well. Obviously, could have gone both ways, but fortunately, everybody stayed together and stayed the course, and had some help on that last lap with a caution. But just appreciate all the support, man. This is unbelievable. This is a special one. This is close to home for me, so feels a little bit like a home race. Thank you, guys.
Chase Elliott, the Georgia boy, wins at Talladega. Matt?
Bow ties in the top 4, so a great execution of sticking to the plan.
Yeah, there was no plan coming off turn 4, but unfortunately we didn't get there before the caution came out. So just big props to Chevrolet and everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. They brought great race cars here. We had a great nationwide Chevy from the time we unloaded and showed a lot of speed. We all stuck to our plans and executed really well. So props to everybody back at home at HMS and in the fab shop, the engine shop, and everybody that makes this deal possible.
So if the caution didn't come out, you were going to try to make a move on him?
Yeah, I'm not just going to let him win, right? I got to try. You know, I knew I could get to his quarter panel. I was pretty confident I could get to his quarter panel through the tri-oval, and who knows who's going to get to the line first at that point. I thought I could do it, but depends on the car behind you, where he goes, and it would have been fun to try, but happy for Chase and Nationwide and Exalta and everybody that lets us keep doing this thing. It's I'm glad to kind of turn the season around. It's been a rough start to the year, and these guys deserve way better than the finishes they've had. So to come home second, it's not a win, but it's headed in the right direction.
A great momentum builder indeed, Mike.
Thanks, Matt. William Byron drove that damaged car all the way to the start-finish line, and we saw him climb out and get to the ambulance under his own power. Always good news. Well, let's show you what happened on the final lap as Chase Elliott tears the place up on the way to victory lane.
So this is coming off of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Oh yeah, you can just see, it looks like the 38 goes up the racetrack, makes contact with the 24 Byron. And that sends Jeffrey Earnhardt and Kyle Larson. Look at the air get under the right rear of the 42.
Wow.
Heavy contact with that right front. Left front.
That safer barrier was there. Thank goodness for that. But watch this thing. Once it starts flipping, it's like a feather. It just won't stop.
Yeah, it looks like the 38 of Reagan just, I don't know if he gets loose or something. You know, obviously the car wasn't in the racetrack right there, sending him up the racetrack.
Wow.
Pretty lucky right there. William Byron didn't go upside down, as you saw the car get up off the ground and then settle back down, but that was not the case for the 42 of Larson.
That's a ride, buddy.
Chase Elliott will celebrate at the world's fastest speedway after a wild ending to the GEICO 500. There's aerial coverage of Victory Lane provided by Goodyear. Those who live up to their names make one for themselves. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Chase won, so you get 10 free boneless wings when you buy any 10 on Monday at Hooters. Remember, with Hooters, when Chase wins, you win. And we've checked with NASCAR. All the drivers involved in that final lap crash climbed out of their cars and are okay.
Hey, Chase, you got us there, buddy, man. That was an awesome job right there. Congratulations. Thanks, how does that feel to get out of the car? I know you've won some races before, but to win in front of a crowd that was cheering like this, that had to feel amazing. And could you have held off Bowman if it had gone all the way?
Yeah. No, it was that was one of the coolest things ever. I mean, this crowd was absolutely insane. Just glad we could get Mountain Dew, Little Caesars, and Chevrolet. A lot of Chevrolet teamwork done today. Hendrick Power was incredible, and Napa, Kelly Blue Book, Valvoline, and Hooters, all the people that make this deal go around. But it was just really a crazy day, well executed day on the Chevrolet team's behalf, and proud of that effort. And yeah, that last lap was going to get wild. I don't know exactly what Alex had up his sleeve. I know he was coming with something, but yeah, we'll take it, and just unbelievable feeling, and the crowd was intense. So we're proud to get it done for him.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Chase. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Congrats. Way to go.
Appreciate it. Good job. Hey, thank you. Thank you.
And you know what that means in Dawsonville, Georgia? It means the siren is blaring at the Dawsonville pool room like it used to do for his dad.
I think I was going to Franklin. I think I'm going to Dawsonville. Shoot a little pool tonight.
Should be a heck of a party. So let's go back to the last. Actually, it was coming to one to go.
Yeah, this is after they took the white flag right here. And you just saw David Reagan he came up the racetrack, lost some control of the car, maybe with the front, got into the side of the 24 of Byron, started all this mess and sent the 42 of Larson into that inside wall and flipping.
Just a wicked sidewinder roll.
It's amazing.
Kyle is now with Vince Welch.
And Kyle chatting with Ricky Stenhouse a little bit. From the time Byron hit you in the side of the door until you came to a rest, what's going through your mind, Kyle?
Well, initially I just thought I was going to hit the inside wall pretty hard, and then right before I got to it, I felt it lift, and I was just hoping it would set down, and then it just started tumbling. That was probably the longest flip I've ever had. Still haven't really seen a replay of it, but I just didn't know if it'd ever stop. I knew I was flipping and just hoping that I wasn't going to get any closer to the catch fence. So yeah, it just was a little bit scary, but thankfully I'm all right. So thanks to the Fab Shop at Chip Ganassi Racing for building safe race cars. That was like I said, it was scary. So just thankful that I'm okay. Hats off to Chase. It was a good day for Chevy. We all had a plan to work together. And Chevy won both stages and the race, so that was really cool. Thought I could have a shot to win there, but it just didn't work out. As soon as we left the restart zone, we were kind of just in a bad spot. And so then I was in the back, and when you're like that and everybody's 4 or 5 wide, something crazy is going to happen. So in the middle of it, but had a good time today. Just wish we would have been on the right end of it for once this year.
Glad you're okay, though. Mike?
Yeah, good to know that William Byron, David Reagan, Jeffrey Earnhardt, and Kyle, Ricky Stenhouse they're all okay. Here are your standings. Race winners in yellow. Add Chase Elliott to that list, locked into the playoffs pretty much. Kevin Harvick had a tough day today. Kurt Busch was in it. Ryan Blaney tagging the pack at the end, and as was Eric Almirola. Always some surprises coming out of Daytona and Talladega. Here's one of the best ones of today. Matt.
Impressive day by the modified racer, backing up that top 10 finish in the Daytona 500 with a top 3. Your first time here at Talladega.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I was only here one other time, and that was an Xfinity car in 2016. I was running third with 3 to go, and I went for the sucker hole and got flushed. So I wasn't going to do that today, and ultimately it was a perfect situation for Chevy there on that restart, being able to line up and push each other and really not give any of the other manufacturers an opportunity to get by us. So great day for Kroger, great day for JTG, and hopefully we can use this momentum moving forward.
And what's that slogan by Kroger? They're delivering the goods. You certainly did that today.
Nice job by Ryan Preece finishing third.
And you know what I like? Manufacturer against manufacturer against manufacturer. I thought that was very interesting.
Action all day long, Mike. I love the racing that I saw here. Glad those drivers are safe there at the end also.
Interesting and exciting. There's the Dawsonville pool room. Yep, this is Talladega.